Hey, Internet, Eric here. And as you can see, I am not alone on a cold Saturday night. I have someone here with me. Continuing this interview series on my YouTube channel, I am joined by podcaster extraordinaire, drink specialist, and professional kidult, the host of Yesterday's podcast, Derek J. Hoover. Derek, I appreciate you taking the time out. I know work and family life is very busy. We all burn the candle at both ends, but I appreciate you sitting down and shooting the shit for 60 to 90 minutes with me, man.
I do it at least every other week
Mm-hmm.
for longer. So I think at the end of a long work week, I can handle talking to a buddy.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was like really nervous to do all this for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I've been podcasting for like 5-6 years. And I did stand up and shit. But can I swear on here?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking A. But yeah, I was for some reason was super nervous to do this. I don't know why.
Really?
It's basically FaceTiming with a friend where people can chime in with chat. So
I was gonna say, is it due to the fact that podcasting is audio and you don't have to worry about being on camera? Is it a little bit of, because I didn't know you did stand up. Is it a little bit of stage fright, you think?
I don't know, because like I was in theater in high school and shit, and I was on speech team. I think it's just the fact that I'm on camera and I feel like I look like a goddamn hobgoblin. But
Well, let's see. Everyone has like that designated fat friend. I'll be that for you. So you look better by comparison. And
this
I'm
is
also gonna upload. I'm also gonna upload the audio eventually, so no one will see it. So don't worry.
fantastic.
So, to anyone listening or watching, first off, blanket hello to the chat. Appreciate people being here. I wouldn't say I met you, Derek. I found out about you first off from the importance of seeing Ernest podcast. I don't know how I found the podcast. I really don't. I don't know if it was just like recommended to me on iTunes one day, and I grew up with Jim Varney, and I listened to it. And usually, every movie podcast is the same fucking thing. They go from point A to point Z, and whatever the shit they can find on Wikipedia and IMDb. What I liked about you guys, you and then Dustin and Jason as well, is it was like this is a cliche, but it was a movie podcast I'd never, have been introduced to, and because of how it wasn't just, like I said, point A to point Z. What I loved about it, it was a comedy podcast. B was like once a month. And then it was so random with the tangents you guys went off on. I loved how it was very adult. You know what I mean? It's three guys getting drunk and talking about
one guy getting drunk, two getting pretty.
Okay. But still, it's three grown men, physically, not mentally, but it's three grown men having drinks, getting very vulgar, swearing like sailors. But the focus of the podcast was this character first created for commercials. But if you didn't know he was a character created for commercials, he was made for children. You know what I mean? All the Ernest movies, whether we like it or not as adults, they were children's films. And that's what I thought was so fun. Also, with with what Dustin did, was all the editing and how random it was.
Yeah, Dustin is like a scientist when it comes to editing. He has this beautiful mind way about him with editing stuff together, especially when it comes to like audio drops and just references, and he'll find some of the oddest stuff that somehow fits in. FYI, I'm gonna yell real quick, "Hey, Allison," because I also have this on my TV.
Okay. Good. Now that means I don't have to read every single fucking comment. You know what I mean? So that's great.
Yeah. I see Johnny Boy from work. No, Johnny, you can't. Well, what's up? He's referencing Stan Bush. That's all. But no, Dustin, just the stuff he comes up with, stuff he finds that fits into the show is truly insane and just awesome. Like Oh God, I think it was the Denver the Last Dinosaur episode. I made the comment of because we were talking about Shauna, how she's a little hot blooded, and how we're both pretty passionate people. Neither one of us has a problem kind of calling one another to the carpet. Somehow found some song that says that. I couldn't tell you what that song is, couldn't tell you who sings it. He found it, dropped it in. So yeah, Dustin and his edits from day one with with Importance of Seeing Ernest and Ernest Worrell Preservation Society, and now on to Yesterdaze, is nothing short of brilliant in my opinion.
Well, that's like I said, that's what really drew me to those podcasts. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't listened to Preservation Society yet. I'm a weirdo when it comes to my podcasts. If I know they're the same people, like doing the same stuff, I listen to them in order. So I'll get to like Yesterday's doesn't count because it's not Ernest related, but Preservation Society I'll get to in like 2 or 3 years because the original Ernest episodes, you know, for you guys were like sometimes 2.5 to 3 hours long, and I only listened to them at work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that's another thing that drew me to it because of how random, and that's what made you guys so unique, in my opinion, the random edits that Dustin would find. And then that would cause, because you guys went on so many tangents. One of the things I always remember, and this is what drew me to you specifically, Derek, because you were the first one I actually followed on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called, and then seeked out and did communications with. Like, I followed both Dustin and Jason, but it was just how random you would get with just things that are going around like outside the podcast. Like I think Dustin's the one that is like the physical media guy, and he's the one with all the bootleg stuff. And there's just one episode you called him out, and I couldn't tell you how many times I rewound it just because of how shocked you seemed, and how Dustin was just like, you know, he's cool as a cucumber, man. He just shrugs it off. He doesn't care. You found out that he had some bootlegged movie of like Kingdom of the Monkeys or some bullshit like that.
No, I know what it is. It was Summer of the Monkeys starring Wilford Brimley. It was a Disney movie. Straight to cassette, and I saw it, and I was just like, why in the fuck do you have this? Why is this in your house? Why? I've known you since I was 16. I lived with you, and of all the shit I've seen in your house or home or that you've ever showed me, Summer of the Monkeys.
Yeah, and that's what I think made your guys' podcast so much fun, because it's how the fuck you gonna talk 2.5 hours about Ernest Goes to School? You know what I mean? Or something like that. It's because of these little added bonuses that kept me coming back and listening for more. And it was just like stuff like that. And then what I also liked with that was you were like the, you know, what was it? Hoover's World of Cocktails.
Yeah.
And what I thought was fun about that, not just because it's 3 guys drinking, you know what I mean? What I liked about that was you had specific drinks to each episode. So what I liked about it is you actually put in the effort to try to make a drink like coincide with what you were watching. And I loved how, at least from where I'm at, the last episode I listened to was Goes to School, which you weren't there because the little guy was getting born. But it was great because they called you on the phone the day before he was born to like talk to you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I love how 9 times out of 10 you hit a home run until I think it was Goes to Jail and you made like Ernest toilet wine or something like that.
It's in the fridge.
Still?
Yeah.
And your boy is how old?
He'll be 5 in March.
Ooh, that stuff's fermenting.
Oh, we and you got to think we were in Peoria. 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th house that booze has been in.
You haven't just left that shit in the fridge for like the next people to move in?
No, you take that. And when we moved in, like I think our first weekend here, she saw it. She's like, I can't believe you still have this. I'm like, let's open it up. And she like, oh my God. And I was like, is it potent? She's like, it's gotten worse. And I mean, if you took like moonshine from the hills of Kentucky and made it Smuckers, would have, and
I think what you should do maybe for your Patreon, like, you know, in an extra tier, maybe you guys will do like a shot or something on camera. We'll see how it goes.
We might.
That's right. That's great. And I didn't know this about you. What was it like doing stand-up comedy before you even got involved in podcasting?
Well, I didn't do a ton of it. I mostly just did open mics because it was something I always wanted to try.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. There's a place here in Peoria. Well, I live in Creve Coeur, but this area
Mm-hmm.
called the Jukebox Comedy Club. That's a lot of comics when they're on tour or they're in the Midwest or whatever. They'll stop by the they'll stop by the jukebox. They'll try out some material, or if they're booked for the weekend, they'll get up with the open micers, and I mean they're literally sitting there with their pad of paper and going through jokes, and they're like, "What do you think of that one? Does this one work? Does this one work?"
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things where I wanted to be a stand-up comedian when I was a kid. That is what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it just that just didn't happen. But excuse me. I always wanted to at least give it a shot and see how that's done, and like kind of work a room with
Mm-hmm.
people who do it professionally and just kind of BS with them. Like I remember when Brian Posehn was here one time.
Yeah, he
I
comes
did,
here a lot. Yeah.
yeah. I did do open mic that night. A friend of mine from high school though did a set. She did a killer set, and just BSing with him
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. I almost partook of some substances with him, but my girlfriend having it.
Yeah.
But still, it was just I wanted to try it because I did like humorous interp and original comedy in high school and speech
Mm-hmm.
team. And it was one of those things where everybody was like, probably why I ended up in car sales too. People kept saying, "You'd be really good at it. You'd be really
Mm-hmm.
good at it." And that's kind of how I fell into both those
Yeah.
things at any given time. But it wasn't like anything major that I did. It was mostly just some open mics just to see what it was like to actually be there on stage with a spotlight and cracking jokes and getting an audience going. So,
Did you ever have any like really, really good nights, or starting out comics, any really, really bad nights, any hecklers that you'd have to deal with, or because
no,
I've heard lots of horror stories. I've heard like what was it? Kevin Hart was talking about when he first started, he was doing it at like barbecue restaurants and stuff like that, and people were throwing food, like anything.
oh no.
Yeah.
Well, see, jukebox is like small as it's kind of it's like a local institution for us, and
Mm-hmm.
go there and you try to be respectful, and even if somebody is bombing
Mm-hmm.
like on an open mic, you try not to drop a deuce on them. Like
Mm-hmm.
one night in particular, hey, Quip was a speechy, all right. There was one of the nights I was there. It was actually one of the first times I did it. There were two things. There was this guy, and he had a pretty good attitude. We called him Johnny Bravo because he kind of physically looked like Johnny Bravo and was a super nice guy. And he was just to stand up,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't doing that great. So like all of us are like throwing out suggestions to him just to help him walk through it and like work out some jokes. So it was like pretty cool kind of communal thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was a guy there. He's African American. He was already a couple sheets to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had wandered over from the strip joint.
Naturally.
Because where this was at, it was like a Bermuda Triangle of just trash. It was a comedy club.
Mm-hmm.
There was a strip joint, and across the road was a speedway. And, he didn't want to pay the cover, and what happened, and what Dan, the guy who runs, he's like, if you get
Mm-hmm.
up and sorry, I just saw Allison's comment. If you come in and you do a set, you don't have to pay the cover. I'll even give you a drink.
Okay.
And he was he was a little ridiculous. And he was pretty funny, but he was clearly drunk. And then this guy gets up, and I think he thought it was gonna go well with the room. It did not go well with the room. And he dropped a slur.
Okay.
And you could hear a rat hiss on. we froze him out, and he
Uh-huh.
left. And after the show, I was talking with Dan, because Dan actually was like a neighbor in the town, and we were talking. He's like, "Yeah, that guy's done sets before. He's never acted like that, and I don't think he meant it maliciously. I think he thought it was gonna land. It did not." I go, "No, it didn't." So that's kind of a quick hit of like my stand-up. Nothing major, but
Nothing major, but some racial slurs and quieting the room. Something that happens every day, right? Nothing major.
typical Michael Richards bullshit.
Yeah. It's bad. You know what that is? That is thing I always found funny and cool is when it comes to like writing scripts or making movies or anything like that. They always say comedy is the hardest fucking thing to do. Anyone, air quotes, anyone could do an action movie. You have people fight and blow shit up. Horror movies, you have titties and blood. Drama, you make something for women. But comedy is so subjective
Some
that
guys like too, sir.
you know what I mean? But like comedy, some people it's really hit and miss. What you might find funny, I might find fucking stupid. Like I'm a comedic dialogue guy. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I like, he's a bad example because like, he's hit and miss with me. Like I love Kevin Smith's dialogue. I love conversations like in Mallrats when like they're talking about the food court,
Yeah.
But Kevin Smith is also a lot of fart and shit jokes, which I don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm all good about being, young and dumb and stuff like that. I loved fart jokes as a kid, but when I grew up, I can't stand them now. So what some people would find funny, other people would hate. And that's what I really respect about, comedians.
Yeah.
Because if you fail big time, they'll always remember that.
Yep. It's like 20 years later, I still remember that guy doing that on stage.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to that I thought was interesting when I went to the Yesterdaze website is I didn't realize or I forgot that you weren't initially going to be one of the hosts for Importance of Being seeing Ernest. How did that come about? Did Dustin just grab you by the arm and be like, "Hey, Kevin can't make it. This is going to be a one-time thing," and then they're just like, "Hey, you were good and we kept you," or was it just like, "No, you're going to do this type of thing"?
Kevin could not do it. So Dustin asked me like, "Hey, we're gonna do this show that started as a joke," and he's like, "We need a third chair. Cannot do it." Steph, his wife, is a notoriously patient woman, but everybody's patience runs out after a while. So they were like, "Do you want to do it?" Like Kevin, but he doesn't have time for it. And I was like, "Yeah, because at that point I had done a couple. Dustin had me on one of his first podcasts that he did, Drunken Lullabies.
Okay. And
I was so awkward on that episode too. Like I didn't know what to do. I was, if you want to hear me completely out of character, I'll have Dustin dig up that episode. It's still on the Drunken Lullabies feed. And I'm like, I'm quiet. I'm reserved. Once I got a couple of those heavy beers in me, I got a little more loosened up. But then I think around it was around October of that same year, did at the time he would do like an annual bottle share because Dustin was like huge into craft beer and shit.
Okay.
And I bumped into Jason there. I hadn't seen Jason in years outside of like bumping into him at like Walmart. And there he was. We're all talking and joking time, and then he had me on Couch Pilots, his show that just wrapped last or this summer. And oh no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I wasn't on Couch Pilots first. I was on Broken Funny Bone. Was a show that that him and his old co-host Blake did, and that turned into me on Couch Pilots. I think think my first episode. By that point, I was a little more loosened up. The Doctor Strange pilot movie for CBS.
Oh, I've seen that. That's awful.
With
in a good way, but yeah.
Crap, I'm bricking on her name right now. She was the mom in Arrested Development, voiced Archer's mom.
Oh, I know who you're talking about too.
She was gorgeous as an older lady, but she was on fire in Doctor Strange. Jessica Crawford, and that kind of like just got the ball rolling. And then when they got around to like putting together the Ernest show, Kevin was like, I can't do this. Steph will kill me. So Dustin hit me up. He's like, you're funny and you've had a good time doing this. Do you want to do it more? And I was like, let's go.
Yeah. So, were you? Was it? I don't know if is it Drunk at the Movies or Drunk at the Cinemas? Were you ever on an episode of that with them? Because I've heard a couple of them, and the first one the first one that comes to mind, and the one that I go back to a lot is Heavyweights, because again, it's like the Ernest podcast. It's a bunch of drunken 40-year-olds, give or take, watching watching kids films and describing like the movies in not so many kid like ways, and that's what makes it fun. That's what I've always gravitated towards, is like the nostalgia, but through the eyes of someone our age, inebriated or not, and to see if it still holds. Like me and my wife, we used, before YouTube started really dicking me over with like copyright stuff, we used to do something called cartoon commentaries. And my wife's not a drinker, so she would be the sober one. I'd be like 3 beers down before we even started. And we would just record with my, this was like old school. Like I had my iPad and I would literally hold it up and record it to the television while we're watching something on YouTube. And
sorry, my dog is stupid.
No, it's okay. and we would watch random stuff. Like we would do like the stuff with He-Man. We would do a She-Ra episode, Gummy Bears, the usual stuff like my wife liked growing up. And then me being, husband of the year, and being a dick, would also introduce her to the weird stuff. Like I never did Gravedale High, which, you guys did on Yesterdaze. And that's why I like Yesterdaze, because it's so fucking random. You know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is like niche shit. You know what I mean? You have to have been there, like on Saturday mornings. Like I introduced her to Pro Stars. You remember Pro Stars, where Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson and Wayne Gretzky saved the world from bad guys? Or oh God, Captain N and the Game Master. But one of the best ones we ever did. We did an episode of Kid and Play, but the one that I think was my favorite one, other than the Mr. T one, we did a Mr. T one. We did a Punky Brewster episode. It was just me, talking about how much I hated Glomer so much, and I was so drunk, because we would do 3 in a row. And I would get drunker as and meaner as they would go on. I was threatening to shove Glomer up Richard Gere, by the end of the episode. But one of my most favorite, because she had never heard of it, was Hammerman.
I was just gonna say, tell me you touched.
Yeah, we and it's one of those things that you realize, why the fuck did we watch it when we were a kid? Like I didn't give a shit about MC Hammer, I didn't listen to hip hop, but I watched that. I don't know if it's because it was in between like the Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3 and Camp Candy or something like that. You know what I mean?
Could be. I don't know, because oh, Jesus Christ. This is a window into my mind. I'm pretty certain Hammerman was on the ABC fall lineup. I think it was on after Addams Family.
You're probably right.
Mario and Captain N were both on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Alison Glomer was the fucking worst. The only thing good about Glomer is Dustin does a killer Glomer impression.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll chime in with my oh God, I'm breaking up. Oh, Punky.
Yeah.
Oh, Punky.
Oh God, the dude from Police Academy. I know you're talking. Yeah.
First name top of my head. I'm having one of those days. I worked like 51 hours this week.
Yeah, I worked a lot of overtime too, but I'm that's why I said I know you're burning candles at both ends, so that's why I'm glad you're giving me like an hour and a half just of bullshit.
I feel shockingly good. I roughhoused with the kid before he went to bed, so I'm good and amped up, I suppose.
And speaking of having a kid, we're both parents. Yours is going to be 5. Mine just turned 11, so there is a little bit of an age difference. Um, has there been any? Because I know you're getting him into He-Man. You know, because I've seen the stuff you've posted, like him making the toys, playing with the toys, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Has there been, other than He-Man, has there been any, like, I call them nostalgic wins for you, like introducing something to him? I mean, considering he's really young, but anything
Yeah.
that you've introduced him to that you grew up with that he just attached to like that. Like I introduced my daughter to, like, you know, Garfield and Friends.
Yeah.
The Addams Family cartoon she fucking loves. You know what I mean? I still say that cartoon fucking holds up to this day. I
You
think it's
know,
hilarious.
if you truly loved your daughter, you would introduce her to Heathcliff. I'm just saying.
You see, here's the thing. I loved Heathcliff. I hated the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
cats in the junkyard. I
Garfield.
hated the fucking the cats in the junkyard. And it's already at the point where, like, she's watching Garfield and she's fast forwarding through US Acres, as she should.
Yeah.
But so I don't really want her to like have to deal with that again. Nurse
See,
Rook.
I'd like Cadillac Cats, but Heathcliff is the superior animated Orange Tabby.
You think so?
Oh yeah, God yeah, he had attitude. Loved it.
See, I'm more like the sarcastic, lazy type of guy, and that's what I think attributed me, put me close to him.
Well,
And
I'm a
another, yeah, and another thing I like she loved, the superhero cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoons. She
yeah,
didn't realize she's that generation that did not have them,
yeah. She wouldn't have had him.
and
Not the way we did at
and
all.
yeah, I think I don't know. Because we had cable then, but I
Mhm.
think it was really on its way out. That generation really missed. She was born in 2012, so
Oh, it was out the door.
yeah. I mean,
Like Saturday mornings was mostly broadcast wise at that point, mostly educational stuff like the wildlife shit. Like I think
yeah.
the Kratts or something like that. Don't ask me how I remember that.
Hmm.
Even know that. But yeah, by that point, I mean, cable was king, and programming blocks on stuff like Nickelodeon and
Hmm.
Cartoon Network, where this stuff was accessible all the time. And really, you think about it, by about 2012, 2013, that was the beginning of the golden age of streaming.
Hmm.
Oh, apparently Alexa's keen to tell me it's time to go to bed. Sorry.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Um, yeah, that was right around the time streaming was really starting to take off. So
Hmm.
it was no longer appointment television for kids.
Right.
It was what do you want to watch and when do you want to watch it?
Hmm.
Completely. So I mean, yeah, your daughter definitely grew up differently than we did, and it's the same thing for Henry. Like he
Hmm.
wants to watch something, he's like, okay, well, I want to watch this now.
Hmm.
So, but I know, like you were saying, you got your daughter, like she took to he sorry
Yeah. Sure. Right.
Garfield, and I know you have a love of wrestling
Hmm.
together. As far as like what got into, it's the joke is often made. There's memes about this, but the joke is also made quite a bit of a show of like, what are you going to force Henry to like next?
Hmm.
Um, it's the only thing I guess I foisted upon him was He-Man, just because it was kind of back in the zeitgeist, and
Hmm.
the Orc line was starting to take off, and that first Christmas that Castle Grayskull was everywhere, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot, and I'm going to see if he takes to this.
Hmm.
Because I've already given him a couple figures, and he really liked them. I was like, let's see what happens when I get him a Castle Grayskull, and he
Hmm.
lost it. He was excited. So that's really the only one I've been like, you play with this now.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's also at that perfect age, like when we started with the toys and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's what I do love. Like, I'm not a huge collector because I don't have the space anymore. But what I like about seeing like all these retro series that are coming out, they look just like the shit that we grew up with.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, it is us playing with those toys again because it's the same age when we got that stuff.
Well, what's getting him excited now, and it's interesting. They're coming back, very similar to what they were when we were kids is Ninja Turtles is starting to get very curious about those. Marlon has that new line of Superpowers figures out.
I've seen those. Yeah, they look really good.
He's all of a sudden, ooh, I want that. I want that. And luckily those suckers are being clearanced now. So, but he's mostly, he loves the He-Man. He's really into Army stuff.
Okay.
He hasn't taken the G.I. Joe yet, but I got a feeling that's just around the corner, especially if he's getting into Army stuff.
Give him a year or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially once he goes to the school, like kindergarten and first grade. Yeah, he'll definitely jump into that.
And I think Transformers is right around the corner, but the one that he is really taken to is Ghostbusters. That boy loves Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Loves it. He had a 4th birthday. I'm kind of trying to keep track of it because Shauna is like the queen of party planning. For the uninitiated, Shauna is my in about 5 months common law wife.
If you got to get technical,
and mother to our wonderful story, and tolerates me, and she's very pretty. But I think it was his 4th birthday was a Ghostbuster party, and it was wild. And that kid loves playing with his Ecto-1. He's got Playmobil and little people Ghostbuster stuff. He has a proton pack. He has a marshmallow gun. He has a buff marshmallow kit. We let him when we moved into our new house here. We told him, you can paint your room whatever color you want. That quickly got switched to, you can have an accent wall that's any color you want, because he picked Slimer green. He said, I want my walls to look like Slimer.
Hey, as a dad who grew up with the movies and the cartoon, which still holds up. That's another thing I introduced my daughter to, and that was one of those. I come home from work, I'm tired, I want to go take a nap. No, we're gonna watch like 2 hours of Ghostbusters because she wants to watch 2 hours of Ghostbusters.
Yep.
And it still holds up. And what I liked about, we'll go off on a little bit of tangent. What I loved about the real Ghostbusters is it wasn't just Slimer being a goofy idiot. You know what I mean? That was for the kids, but then what I also liked is they also had those adult episodes that you don't really realize they're adult episodes until you get to be like our age. You have, you've gone through, the troubles of being an adult and, having a kid or, relationships and shit like that. Like one of the episodes that gets to me a lot, and I've shown you those little figures I collected, that I get from like that guy who hand makes them. I got emotional showing off the fact that he gave me a little figure of Drool, the little mutant dog. You know what I mean? From the episode where he's saving the freaks at the freak show and he sacrificed himself. That shit kids aren't going to give a crap about. But as you get older, you're going to realize, that's what's good writing. You know what I mean? For the people that grew up with the movies and grew up with stuff like that. And that's what I think keeps that show being really, really good.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So now, one thing I want to say, and you might not have an answer for this because he's only 4. Were there any major fails when it comes to introducing him and stuff? Like I introduced my daughter to like Howard the Duck and Labyrinth, and she says, "No, this stuff's boring." She couldn't do that. But she also wasn't a fan of like Choose Your Own Adventure books and Calvin and Hobbes. Things I grew up and loved, and it was just like epic fail. Has there been anything with Henry like so far, like with his age, that you've kind of failed with?
Yeah, there's one.
I've been disappointed with.
Well, no, I just think he wasn't ready for it. E.T. actually kind of scared him at first.
I can see that.
It is because of that scene where Elliot first sees E.T. in the cornfield.
Oh God, yeah.
They freak her out. Yes, Quip, you do need to introduce your kiddo to that. Stats. I think it scared him a little bit more, and he just wasn't quite ready for it. And he's like, "Daddy, I don't think I want to watch this, Daddy." And Okay. And then you turn Ghostbusters again.
I love how E.T. scared the shit out of him, but you turn on Ghostbusters and it's wonderful. Because some of that stuff was actually really, and especially if you're talking about the cartoon, a lot of that shit was just scary to look at. You know what I mean?
That cartoon was way scarier than the movie. The Boogie Grundle?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So yeah, I love that, but I could see why he'd be scared of ET a lot. I could really be scared. See why he'd be scared of that.
I think it just spooked him a little. I think if give it he'll probably give it a shot because he's starting to get to that point where he wants adventure. Jason has mentioned this. Jason, one of my co-hosts, he's mentioned this a couple times when we're talking about properties and stuff on the show. And when we were talking about Monster Squad, I mean, we had some highs and lows talking about that, but one of the things that hold very true about that movie is it's kids. You have some really great ingredients with that movie. You have that treehouse, which every kid ever wanted a treehouse or a clubhouse. Every kid wanted that.
What I loved about it wasn't just the monster posters. I loved how to get in you had to basically go through a trap door. You know what I mean? It wasn't just an open space. You actually had to push the door open. Little things like that was really fucking cool.
The promises of the 80s included lasers and trapdoors for everyone.
Yeah.
But there's that, and then there's the sense of adventure. And it's the hold on, I just saw something from Quip. Yes, eventually I'm going to talk about Clarissa Explains It All. What's Allison say here? She said
E.T. scared me. He looks like an overgrown Mr. Potato Head, stuffed in an old sock and beat Moby to death. Not that dead Moby. That Moby is awful.
I want to take a moment to talk about how much I adore Allison Troy and her.
Yeah. I'm a big ET fan. Yeah, I don't have a lot of collectible stuff other than like the stuff I've shown you, but I'll go to like a garage sale and I'll find little shit like this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's got the thing in the back that makes his head go up and down. You know, little things like that just to put around like, and then of course me being a drunk, I did find a little drunk ET, that I put on my book stand, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I could see. So have you ever thought of like maybe Monster Squad might be a little too much for me? Have you ever thought about like introducing him to like the Goonies or something like that?
I think Goonies is right around the corner for him, and that's why I think he isn't off the table because it is a kid having adventure, and I think there's going to come a point where we can watch that, and then I think we graduate to Goonies, and then I graduate to Monster Squad. I think that's the progression, just because Sloth's kind of scary.
Yeah,
there's lots of skeletons.
Mama Fratelli is even worse. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Quip makes a good point here. He said that happened with my daughter in Indiana Jones. There's a lot for Alfred Molina. Oh, that scene. Yeah. It's a spike through the head in the opening sequence and Indian guy in the head at the bar fight.
I see. And that's but see, the 80s was a great place to grow up as a movie fan for me. Movies is my thing. You know what I mean? And it was great because a lot of the stuff I grew up, I was born in 81, my parents, as long as there was no sex, they didn't give a shit what I watched. You know what I mean? Like a lot of 80s parents. So a lot of my action movies should have been PG-13, but they weren't because the rating, it didn't exist until like Gremlins came out. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. I couldn't tell you how many times I fucking watched Temple of Doom with hearts being ripped out. And my parents were just like, yeah, isn't that part cool? Instead of saying like, hide your eyes. You know what I mean?
Well, the shit I watched, so we kind of talk about it here and there on the show, and I talk about it in my write-ups. So my life looked very different until 1988. My life was very much the Wild West. None of my parents, all three of them, dad, mom, stepmom, which, by the way, my mom's here tonight.
Cheers. Yeah.
No, my phone's sitting cremated, and I'm using box with their ashes.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to set up and explain it. Yeah, not me.
I'm a piece of shit.
No, you're an improviser. There's a difference.
So, I got to watch, first of all, with my mom, almost zero supervision. Zero. My dad, I mean, I had the guiding hand of a dad, but like we watched movie tunes together all the time. And I remember there it is. I can remember being about 4 or 5 years old watching unedited Weird Science with him. I can remember watching Raiders and Temple of Doom with him. Watching tons of stuff that was unedited and was just kind of dope. But once my stepmom came into the picture, that kind of dialed back.
Right.
But there, I'm sorry. I saw Alice's comment.
I know. I was waiting for you to actually be like 2 sentences into your thought before I put it up on the screen. That's my bad, or good.
I really want to take it a step further. Look, like you came up from ground zero. Flick the light.
Yeah.
So she came on the scene and like things got a lot tighter. She was a slave to the whole satanic panic.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that in the Monster Squad episode. Yeah.
But then, like, she let me watch the oddest stuff. Like, I remember us renting Beetlejuice, and that was we used to do this thing every Friday. We called it having a sweats party.
Okay.
And if I was good at school, we got to do that. So it was like, and all is everybody, it's like fall. Put on your sweats. We're gonna make pizza or order pizza.
Yeah.
Go to the video store, and it was really cool. Or if couldn't afford the video store or make it, we'd watch TGIF.
We're gonna be a family for once a week. God damn it! Yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I remember renting Beetlejuice. And it's like, I thought it was hilarious, blah blah blah. But like, I look back at that period, like this is the same woman that made me get rid of Smurfs because of Pat Robinson or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And the goddamn 700 Club. I had to get rid of my Smurfs because of turmoil in the toy box. But I'm watching I'm watching Batman, a nice fucking model, honk honk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, people are strange.
I mean, it all depends. Like, I'll take it one step further with my mom. My mom's not just the person that got me into movies. She's the one that got me into horror. So.
Oh,
excuse me. So she's giving me all the Stephen King paperbacks she owned, like when I was in middle school. But the first horror movie I can even remember watching, edited for TV. So don't get the the torches and pitchforks yet. But she recommended that I watch The Exorcist because it was a good movie.
Jesus.
I'm in elementary school. So I was probably like 3rd or 4th grade.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So I'm watching that, and the thing is, I mean, that explains a lot now. That movie was in like heavy rotation for me because it was on the same I remember this is the same VHS tape that had edited for TV. We had The Terminator. Yeah. And then followed by The Exorcist, and then for we had The Burbs, the Tom Hanks movie.
That is an odd matinee, my friend.
I know that's a really cool triple feature, but that's what it was. My mom always got me into that type of stuff. Like I remember, oh God, 4th or 5th grade. That's when I was getting into like the unedited like Freddy Krueger stuff. And again, it was weird. Like my parents, they didn't give a shit about the violence and anything as long as there was like no nudity.
Because not to, I don't mean to step on you. I'm sorry.
No, just do it.
It's interesting you say that. And this is probably I'll probably wind up on a soapbox again at some other point in time. It's very strange in America. We have zero qualms with violence in media and what have you. And this
Mm-hmm.
isn't me like an activist or anything like that.
No, go ahead, dude.
But we are so hung up about like sex and shit. Complete inverse anywhere else. Like it's things heavily edited for violence and what bare boobies and butt and genitals and crime.
Oh yeah, you go to the UK, they're all for, you know, titties and ass, but you show anyone get stabbed or anything like that, that's a no-no, or even worse. Yeah, it's really weird how we're very prudish when it comes to that here.
Yeah, strange.
And it's really strange. I mean, my parents didn't care. Obviously, once I got into high school, they're like, okay, he's got the internet. You know, it's fine. You know, he's seen worse. But it's just weird how, you know. But then again, my parents were also into like the behind the scenes stuff. They're like, okay, this is how they did that. That's fake, which is neat. Is one of the little bonds that I have with my daughter is when she doesn't give a shit about horror movies, really, unless it's like Monster Squad or something like, or Ernest Scared Stupid. But she's really getting into like the behind the scenes stuff. Like she'll sit and watch, you know, the movie makeup and things like that. So that's really neat. And I think that also helps her, especially at that age, to not be as scared. She, you know, like I'm not going to sit down and like introduce her to Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? But I've shown her how like the makeup is applied to his face and stuff like that. And I think that gradually like helped her not be as afraid when she was watching this stuff. Like there's behind the scenes of a Monster Squad when he's, you know, the guy's getting the makeup put on and stuff like that she thought was really neat.
Yeah, I probably could have done well with that instead of just thrown in the Freddy Krueger and have nightmares for I don't know, a decade.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. It might have been the Monster Squad episode. You were just thrown into like the first or the third one, and you said you couldn't sleep for like 2 or 3 days straight, literally, because you were so terrified.
If I describe a couple scenes, you can probably tell me which one it is. This is all I remember from it. Remember on a school bus, and then all of a sudden, the school bus is like over lava.
That's the second one.
Okay.
That's the second one. Yeah.
Damn, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Or pitiful, depending on how you look at it. But
fuck you're talking to. And then like another scene that just stuck out to me there. It's like at the end of the movie, there's a girl that's pregnant, and all of a sudden Freddy's claws come out of her stomach. Like
that's the fifth one. That's the one that introduced me to it, to the whole franchise. And my parents were like, okay, there's boobies right here. Turn around. Okay, this person's getting slashed up. That's fun, you know?
Yeah, no, that I was like 4 when I saw that, or 4 or 5. It fucked me. Like I have no shame admitting this. I'm very proud of my son. I pissed the bed until I was 10 years old. There's more layers to that.
More layers of piss.
He is 4.5 years old. He has not been in diapers or pull-ups for probably about a year. I think when we first moved in here, we still did pull-ups at night, but he wasn't going in them. So he's doing really. He had his first accident the other night because he woke up and chugged lemonade. I have a feeling a lot of my pissing the bed had a lot to do with abandonment shit and anxiety too.
Right. Yeah. It's not your fault. Let's get to Yesterdaze, because we mentioned the monsters.
Real quick, good point here. Quick, like it speaks to what you said. When you see how sausage is made, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
You were saying, I'm sorry.
No. I was actually going to mention that too. It was really cool how she was out of character on Mr. Rogers, the Wicked Witch of the West, explaining everything, and that's what's needed. Like when I was watching The Exorcist, you know what I mean? Oof, when I saw that in fucking high school with the whole, when you see everything that was cut out of that stuff, you know, you never look at a crucifix in the same way again. But it was
like that, man. I've gotten to a point now where I can watch thrillers or stuff that has jump scares, but I don't know what it is when it comes to something that has to do with like evil. I can't watch it for some. There's like a weird stopgap in my. I have a hard time watching them. I don't know why. I don't have a rational explanation why, but I can't.
My wife's the same way. She loves like home invasion movies. The real, like, I don't want anyone who is religious to take this the wrong way. home invasion movies, very, very realistic, but something like
Yeah.
The Exorcist, which has spiritual stuff. I'm not knocking religion, isn't air quotes as realistic as someone breaking into your house.
Yeah, no shit.
That's the stuff that terrifies her more. But if she watches something like The Strangers or Hush or something like that, she's all for it.
This one back here, our room's on the other side of that wall. If she's watching a goddamn something with Candace Cameron Bure or Lacey Chambert or Jennifer Love Hewitt on the Hallmark Channel, it's fucking rape and shit. It's okay. Oh crap! Edit that because I don't think you can say that on YouTube.
I'm not monetized. Who cares? I've said worse. Trust me.
It's like SVU and just horrible stuff. And it's like the murderer made a vest out of vagina.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you watching this? Like before you go to bed.
I know. Yeah, Allison is right. Hush is a really, really, really fucking good movie. Yeah.
I'm gonna take word for it.
Yeah. And she also makes a good point. Anything with Candace Cameron or her brother Kurt does definitely count as horror.
Have you seen the movie called Fireproof?
And I'm not going to. One thing I want to get into now, because we mentioned Yesterdaze a lot. You graduated, air quotes, from co-host to the Ernest stuff, where you were basically you show up, you make the drink for the boys, and then you bullshit for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you guys ended that.
Yeah.
Then you guys did the second Ernest podcast, and now you are in charge. Basically, you're the one doing all the work. What was it like going from being the guy that just shows up, lack of a better term, just shows up, to being the guy that and this is no disrespect to Dustin or Jason because they contribute a lot, but the workload drops on?
First of all, you are not far off saying the guy that shows up. Because I can remember going back to getting ready for the first episode. And at this point, like Dustin, Drunken Lullabies was pretty damn successful. Drunken Movies had a good following. And I think around that time too, like Dustin had actual sponsors for Drunken Lullabies.
Really? Okay.
He had a couple sponsors for that at the very least would provide sorry.
Oh no, that's why I'm waiting for specific moments to put these comments in just to break you.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to so when we first started dating, she had read the book, and here's the thing, we are both 41. When we met, her divorce took significantly longer than mine, but we both had been previously married. And so things of a nature that involves couples connecting and what have you, it's very important to her. And I learned why those things are important. And it has helped us a lot in the last years. But there is this book called Fireproof. Okay. And she was like, they made it into a movie. And the only
fuck it, I'll write it down. Go ahead, keep talking.
Don't watch it. Don't watch
it. No. Don't go ahead.
Don't do it. The only like real actor, like professionally trained actor in that is Kirk Cameron.
Ooh.
And it God awful. And I felt so bad. Like I was trying not to be. This is like the first. I was trying so hard not to be an asshole. And she even said, she's like, I know we're going to watch this, and I know you're going to laugh at it, but I need you to pay attention to the message. And I was like, look, once was all said and done, I was like, there were so many parts of it that I bust out laughing because it was, I don't even know if calling it Mystery Science Theater 3000 bad is appropriate.
Oh, wow.
And like all is said and done, we're talking about it. I was like, look, I understand the message of it, that you got to put the work in a relationship, and I get that, and I don't want you to think that I'm not about that.
I just did. I just watched the movie. Yeah.
I kind of made a joke like that. But I was like, I was, when she met me, I was like at the beginning of calming down.
Mm-hmm.
I still had a lot of that dog in me though. And like I was in car sales, I was a drinker, I had that dog.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I get it.
and she was basically trying to civilize me. And I had to tell her, I was like, I love you, and I will. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna do the wrong thing. I'm gonna say the wrong thing, and I'm gonna need you to forgive me. I'm you to believe in me, but I'm always gonna keep trying. However, don't ever make me watch something like this ever again. Then she promptly had me watch The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and I didn't want to talk to her for a fucking week.
See, but see, I get it.
He doesn't get
When you
movies anymore.
when you think about that stuff, like in hindsight, you can't help but laugh. But
Oh
it
yeah,
it
hilarious.
it reminds me kind of like, not so much, but kind of like what me and my wife do. We have this thing on the YouTube channel where we call it "Please Don't Make Me Watch." And what it is is, I've been
Nice.
dubbed, like, by a lot of my friends, as like the connoisseur of crap. You've
Yeah.
even mentioned it on Yesterday's. I like a lot of stupid shit, like when it comes to like horror movies and stuff like that. So I'll pick a movie, and not only does she has to sit down and watch it, we have to do a video of it afterwards. She is not allowed any electronics during the viewing. So like she can't be on the phone, no iPad, no nothing of that. But then she gets to go a step farther, and then the next time she gets to recommend a movie that I have to suffer through. And
Yeah.
what's really cool that I think is fun is you can see the differences. Like I make her watch something stupid like Troll 2 or the Bruce Campbell movie, The Man with the Screaming Brain. I'm sure Dustin has heard of that one. Or just random stupid fucking shit. And she will pick something that she knows I don't want to watch. Like she'll make me watch Mary Poppins, or she'll make me watch like Babes in Toyland, or Annie, of all things. You know what I mean? And it's just funny how stuff like that, how spouses can have fun torturing each other like that. And I just went off on a little tangent because Kirk Cameron made me think of like what we're doing with how you were tortured watching that for, something, that she wanted you to do.
It was so bad. Like some of those couldn't act their way out of a fucking bag. It was bad. Okay, so you were asking like what was it like going from Ernest to Yesterdaze?
Yeah, from like I said, just basically showing up, being Derek, to showing up and being air quotes professional Derek. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when Ernest was getting ready to start, I remember texting that I was nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I was texting Dustin like, should I do this? Should this? And I was like, all about research and blah 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 and all this shit. Because like I said, Dustin was an established podcaster, and so was, and I was the new kid at the table, and Dustin quite literally said to me, "I just show up and be funny. Watch the stuff we're talking about. Just show up and be you. I just need to be you." I'm like, okay. What I did. And sometimes it went a little off the rails, but jumping into this, it's very different. Like case in point, this week has been ridiculous. I've worked about 51 hours. A pretty rough week on the old FedEx route, and
oh yeah, it's gonna suck this month. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be terrible. But then every single night, as soon as Henry's in bed, I'm grabbing my laptop and I'm turning on Disney Plus. And I'll explain why I'm on Disney Plus. But researching and watching stuff and reading Wikipedia and going to CBR, CBR.com, and just online and watching Secret Galaxy episodes just to find like quick notes. Writing everything for January, because that's a 5-week month, and I'm have all of that written and taken care of. But it's not just 5 episodes; it's 5 episodes covering 8 properties. So this is just an example of things being especially grueling, but it's been it's different. I don't necessarily view it as like I'm the one in charge, but like I am.
Right, but like the responsibility, like even responsibility might not be the right word, but choosing what you're talking about, doing the research instead of just showing. And I sound like a dick when I say it like this, so bear with me. You're putting in a lot more effort with this than with Ernest.
No, I'm not just like, here I am. No, I'm researching like who is the writing team, who is the executive producer, who was this, how'd this come to be made, why did this fail, why didn't it fail, what would it look like now, and all that shit. I will say this, it has taught me a great deal. I've always appreciated Dustin's editing. And his editing is very, I think there's only been like 1 or 2 times since this show came out that I listened to it so early, and I've had to say, hey, can you fix this? And it's just something simple like there's an odd sound, just something he needs to tweak a little. Or erring on the side of caution, I'm going to say there's been at least once that I'm like, hey, or even before the episodes come out, I've listened to the raw audio, and I'm like, hey, I think we just leave this out altogether. I don't think we put this in. But for the most part, especially when it comes to editing, fuck it. God damn it, Allison. Showrunner man. Your episode is, I'm getting ready to write that soon, Allison. But no, I've always appreciated Dustin's edits, and it's nice to see him doing that, because that kind of work and podcasting together, I think it's something we always wanted to do. I think we always saw ourselves in some form of broadcasting, and we are. It taught me to your family talking in the dogs.
I already told you it's not happening.
It has taught me a great deal of appreciation for the work Dustin put in to importance of seeing Ernest. It especially puts in the work he put in to the Ernest P. Worrell Preservation Society. And I wasn't as heavily involved with it. I did several episodes, but it puts a great deal of perspective into the work Jason put into Couch Pilots. Especially like setting up interviews, and like he got some amazing interviews for that show. I think the crown jewel is when he interviewed Hank Azaria, or I'm sorry, God bless it, wrong Simpsons cast member, Harry Shearer. When he got that interview, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
But he kind of sitting in the big boy chair makes me appreciate what those guys have done last 5 to 10 years a lot more. And if anything, it's very motivating as far okay, this is what you did on Couch Pilots, Dustin, this is what you did in researching your shows and stuff. You've set this bar. And it's not necessarily a mindset of I have to compete with you guys, but it's like, okay, you've set this bar. Now I know how high I have to climb. I know how high I have to climb, or I know what I have to do to be happy, I guess. Be happy with the work I'm putting out and the work we're doing together. So it's been very sobering in a fashion, especially leading up to launching the show. Just, and there's still a lot of shit that I'm learning, and I'm sure keep learning it. I will say, I saw my buddy Johnny Boy there in the chats earlier. He's kind of mentioned to me before. He's like, man, you guys just sound so polished, and it sounds like a professional, like very glowing remarks about what this podcast is and what it sounds like. And I was like, well, you got to remember, we've been acting as a team for 5 years.
Right. You
Like,
have that chemistry.
Yeah, we've been a cast or a zoo crew, whatever fucking phrasing you want to use. Choose your own adventure.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing that for 5 years. Like, we know. I can tell within 3 words what kind of joke or fucking asinine comment Jason's gonna set up just to make me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck with me. I can usually peg what's gonna get Dustin to pop out of nowhere, and that's been. I will tell you this much: that's a real pleasure of the. Dustin doesn't have to sit there and be steering the ship. Dustin gets to be Dustin.
Yeah.
And I kind of forgot how funny Dustin can be when left to his own devices.
I've noticed that because, like I said, I haven't listened to the Preservation Society yet because I want to finish Importance.
Sure.
But listening to both Importance and Yesterdaze, I can hear the. To me, Jason's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But to see the difference between you on those 2 shows and Dustin on the 2 shows, it's refreshing because it's so different. Because I listen to Yesterdays more because I have more time because they're like an hour shorter. But that's not a knock on Ernest. But
no,
what I like about this is I love how, and you can tell when it comes to Yesterdays, how Dustin and Jason are kind of getting their jollies off of poking the bear with you. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, it's
you're still yourself like you were on Ernest, but like you're the one who's now trying to, okay, kids, back to the carpet. We got to talk about Gravedale High and or Visionaries. They don't want to fucking talk about Visionaries and stuff like that. But what
nobody
also
wants to listen to it. It is still our worst performing episode.
It is what it is. You also have to deal with the material you're picking. But what I love about this, hold on one sec, is I love how it's also creating like running gags. I love like now how like my favorite running gag is how Dustin always finds a different way to mispronounce the name of the podcast. And then we always get to hear you pull away from the microphone and just yelling and screaming Yesterdaze, goddamn it, in your different little variations. So that's what I think helps with the change in roles, I guess you would say, between the 2 podcasts.
I will say the biggest culprit in those changes is the fact that I don't drink during the podcast, and Dustin.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Like I've kind of went from shit show drunk to damn near teetotal. Really teetotal, because I almost always have a mug of either mint or peppermint tea and then a tumbler filled with water. Every once in a while I'll have a drink. It doesn't come out until Christmas, but Christmas Story episode I drank on that just because it was that was shut up, Johnny boy. Hims.com, use code yesteryears, get your day. That was a little heavier episode for me. So I did, and it was kind of a a little bit of a celebration too, because I know it was like that's going to be the last episode of the year. My best friend and brother, Josh Robertson, was on there with me, and I knew I was going to be talking about my old man.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit, like I didn't get in the pocket or anything, but I made myself. I had like a whiskey and water.
I get it. I've read the Twitter post when you're promoting that stuff, and that one kind of hit me because I lost mine. It'll be 3 years next month. So I'm just telling you, don't watch the sequel yet. Don't watch the sequel. Just prepare for that one. But it's because
I've seen it.
Okay.
And it was
I was happy with it. It was really, really good, but it was a rough watch for me. I'll say that.
I got butter soft real quick.
Oh yeah, so did I. Okay, let's try to liven it up. I want to say, what is
you aren't having a good time talking about dead people? Did I mention that I'm using my mom's ashes as a tripod?
Yeah, who was it? I'll find the quote. Someone said she's still supporting her baby boy after all these years, or something like that.
She sure.
we're gonna get to like now the random stuff that I will always ask. You know what? Fuck it. Let's still stay morbid. All right. I asked this to Gavin in my last episode. And I'm gonna ask this to everybody. It's your last day on Earth. Okay, you're walking the Green Mile. You're not gonna survive no matter what. From appetizer to dessert, and you can throw a drink in there. What is your last meal?
All right, let me tell you what.
No limits. You can have whatever the fuck you want.
I remember that episode, and I know it's my last day on Earth. I get to have whatever I want.
Okay.
All right. So I'm having a steak, but I'm having a very specific steak. I'm having a London broil.
Okay.
Typically not cooked as a steak, but I cook it as a steak. It is like about as big as a boogie board, not a bone in it. So I'm gonna have me a London broil, probably with I'm gonna cook that motherfucker and I'm gonna butter it. I'm gonna butter it real good.
How do you have your steak?
Medium well.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm a caveman. I like it rare.
I don't go. No, not medium well. I'm sorry. Medium rare. I'll go medium rare. I need some pink and a little bit of blood in the middle. But I'm having I'm having a London broil. That sucker is buttered all around, salt and pepper on it, with a little Uncle Tony's Creole seasoning. Sorry, I'm
no, do what you gotta do, man.
Getting a food boner.
Yeah, well, that's for the after dark portion of the podcast.
I'm gonna have me some smashed potatoes with some beef gravy. I am going to have some just a skillet of cornbread with that. I don't have to worry about eating my vegetables because I'm dying.
Right.
I'd
eat some Brussels sprouts just to stink up the joint after I'm gone.
Actually, well, let's see. To possibly stink up the joint and have an appetizer, deep fried pickle chips.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm going to be a fan. Let's see. What am I drinking with it? I'm going to have a cornucopia of drinks. I'm going to have plenty of ice cold Coca-Cola on hand. Or Dr. Pepper. It's one of those things I would just decide at the very last minute. Probably Dr. Pepper. You know, fuck it, Pepper. I'm gonna go Dr. Pepper. I am going to have a bottle of Merlot.
Okay.
Going to have a bottle of Maker's Mark and a bottle of Bullet.
Ooh.
What? You got a problem with Bullet?
I've tried Bullet so many times that I've tried to like it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not as bad as like an IPA. You know what I mean? Like you drink IPA, it's like you have a mouthful of pennies and you're just sucking on it type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's just like, and I don't get me wrong. I loved like Jack Daniels. I love that whiskey that like burns your chest every time you drink it. Yeah. There's just something about Bullet that it just, I have to like force myself to swallow it down, and of course I'm gonna drink the whole fucking bottle because I paid for it. But it's just like I've tried it a couple times, and there's just something about it that I don't want to ever drink it again. I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna have some Makers there, but I'm not gonna go Bullet bourbon. No, I'm hard to kill. Very difficult to kill. We've tested this. And I don't think you understand, man, just how much I used to. Quip, it's about to get worse. It's gonna be Bullet Rye. I'm not gonna do the bourbon. I want Bullet Rye. Now, what I'm gonna do with that Bullet Rye when I'm done with everything else is there's gonna need to be some fixings for making Manhattans. And I make mine a little turbo. I like to take what is it, Old Smoky? Old Smoky, the whoops, that scared my dog. The Moonshine.
Yeah.
They will package like they have a lot of different flavors and stuff, but there's one where it's this is how Allison's going out. Okay.
John wants to mix Malorts with Ruppelmans.
You fucking would, Johnny.
I still haven't gotten the balls to drink Malort yet. You know, everyone says, and I've got friends who swear by it. I got friends who will like special order it, but then everyone who has had it, other than those couple friends, they tell me it's like, you know, they pour whiskey and drain it through a sweat sock to put it in your glass type of thing, and they always say, if you're going to do a shot of it, make sure it's the last thing you drink because it will ruin everything you drink for the rest of the night.
Yeah, no, it's not great. It's not great. So no, what I would do with that rye and what I would do with the vermouth and stuff, the bitters, is I'm gonna need a thing of those Old Smoky Moonshine cherries. That is basically, it's cherries, grain alcohol, and grenadine. 3 of those cherries are going in there, and I'm going to add probably about a teaspoon of that booze grenadine to it, and I'm making a double, and I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna drink that motherfucker while I smoke a few Camel Menthol Silvers. Did I ever mention that I wrote a fucking book?
Yeah, you did. I actually, doing my research, I came across it.
Oh my God, you motherfucker.
Yeah, research or stalking, however you want. I would have read it, but, you know, Amazon fucked me and lost it in the mail for like 2 weeks.
I need to update that book because it still has the foreword from my ex-wife.
I wasn't going to bring that up. All I was going to say, what was it like actually having a book published? Because one thing I do like about, and that's what got me into the research, you know what I mean? One thing I really like about Yesterdaze is the articles you put up, like of like Mask and Brave Star and everything that you said. You know, it's not just a paragraph here or there. You know, it's a good page long at times stuff of just the product that you're going to talk about, and that makes me appreciate like the effort you personally put into this project. You know what I mean? It's not just me with my laptop talking to a guy for like 90 minutes. You know what I mean? You know, sure, I've taken some like bullet points, you know, with conversations you and I have had, but you know, it makes me appreciate, you know, the effort you're putting into it. So,
well, thank you.
Will you ever plan on writing a second book? To my knowledge, this is your only one, right?
Yes. Well, I promise you, we'll that. I'm not done describing what I'm going to do before I die. Book club, yes, book club. What else would I eat in there?
Oh, I think all you got left is dessert. If you got room left.
Oh, I know what I'd eat for dessert. I'm being dared.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, Gavin was the same way. He had the same answer.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, that was the man after my own heart who quite literally was a fucking doppelganger of my best friend and brother Dave.
Really?
They looked hauntingly similar. They sounded almost exactly like it was insane. Yeah, I think that's my last meal. I think that's how I'm going out. I think that's how I'm going out.
You know, we'll just make sure you have the dessert before all those drinks. You're gonna fall asleep in between the dessert.
Nah, man, nah. I'm a goddamn tight.
You're determined. Good for you. Another thing I want to talk to you about. You know, we're wrapping this up. You're also a collector. I mean, I know you like to collect He-Man figures and stuff like that. What initiated that? Were you always just like, hey, I grew up with this stuff, I want to collect it? Or was there something specific like, hey, I love He-Man, I want to collect it? Or are you the type of guy that takes them out of the box, displays them type of thing? Or are you one of the guys that keeps them in the box and like hangs them on the wall type of thing?
What started it? Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Real quick. Boomerang back. Yes, actually, I wrote a sequel to that book. I've never done. Okay. And I started a third one. I had a vision, and someday I may come back to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where life just getting in the way, and then different things became important to me, and different interests became important to me.
Absolutely.
It's creative writing. I can always go back to. It doesn't matter when the fuck I said it.
Yeah.
As far as time frame. So yes, there is a sequel. There is a sequel to that book.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what it says on that's what it says on the back. And honestly, I did buy it. I'm going to read it. But I thought it would just be kind of funny just to see how it'd be brought into the podcast without fucking telling you about that I actually got the copy. I just thought that'd be a lot of fun.
That's pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie. But
Yeah.
and then you had mentioned the write-ups in the article. Some of it is sometimes I either want to get a little more in the weeds on properties, or I want to do like would that technically be my son?
Possibly.
I don't know. But so writing the write-ups for the website, it's I'm a research nerd. I like writing. I had aspirations for being a journalist once upon a time. And some of them, like especially the Elvira write-up, it's a way for me to open up about some stuff.
Yeah.
It's a way for me to get a little more personal, and also just kind of trauma dump a little bit.
Yeah, purge it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, purge it out and like get it off my chest. But another reason why I did it is I have there's like a block where it's like this very small contained community customers on my route that I see regularly, and I've learned a couple phrases here and there. I'm a little rusty at it, that are deaf. I have some deaf customers, and Shauna, my wife, part of her she's been continuing her education and working on a bachelor's. She's been taking ASL courses and stuff. I'm not quite sure why I was inspired to do it, but it was one of those things where it's like, I'm doing a podcast and that's fun to listen to, but there's geeks out there or people who they can't hear these things. What if they could read it and see it? So that is kind of a little motivation. It's a factor in why I do the videos. Like I want them. If somebody is impaired, I want them to be able to get in on the fun in a fashion. And I don't know. This is going to sound worse than, I don't have a more eloquent way to put it.
No, go ahead, dude.
Soft spot for folks who are deaf and folks who are blind. Those are two impairments that I couldn't imagine not being able to hear music. I couldn't imagine not being able to look at a Monet or look at my wife's face or look at my son. I couldn't imagine what that feels like.
Right.
So it's just, those are two segments of society that it's just like, it pulls on my heart for some reason.
Yeah.
I know I don't mean to sound patronizing or anything like that. That's a motivation for like why I do the write-ups too. Like, there's people out there that like He-Man or like Elvira that they can't listen to this shit because they can't hear. But they can read it, and maybe they're gonna have a good time reading it. So
no, that's cool. I really love the reasoning behind that. That's really cool. With collecting, what is your money's no object? What's your I know, because I'm gonna make you think about this. What's your holy grail?
No, you're not.
Oh no, I'm not? Okay. What's your holy grail of collecting that you will probably never ever get, but you wish you had?
Never say never, babe.
Okay.
So
well, and it doesn't matter. Money doesn't have to be an option. What's your personal holy grail?
I could whore myself. Well, you had asked what got me into collecting. It's honestly, it's as fucked up as it sounds. It does have to do with trauma and my step.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Because here, hi. Say hi to the people. Say hi to the people. Hi. Give me a kiss. All right. Go away.
Give me a kiss. Get out of here. Yeah.
Get out of here. Hey. That's you. You're on the internet now. Okay.
Once it's on, it never comes off.
So, I went from having like all these He-Man toys and having all these Smurfs, having all this shit, Ghostbusters toys, everything, to all that stuff having to go away. Because, hi, sidekick. Because I was told, well, there's only one master of the universe. I still don't have a clear answer on the goddamn Smurfs. Ghostbusters was evil. All my things were taken from me. So once I got old enough to where I could go buy things with my money and I could start collecting, I enjoyed finding those things. The weird, we were talking about like parents being like, you can't do this, but oh, I had unmitigated rain of comic books, and I read some fucked up comic books.
Yeah, same here.
So when I was able to start collecting again, at like driving again and earning my own money as a teenager, collecting, for me it was like, you can't tell me what to do. This is my money. And it pissed her off because for the longest time I was an inbox collector and my bedroom looked like a comic book shop.
Yeah.
I had DC Direct figures on it, like mint on card, not mint with card for those who are GDL fans. I had those like pinned to my wall. I had shelving units up. And at that point in time, I had begun my first round of collecting Superpowers action figures. So those weren't, I wasn't about to go mint, even in the early aughts, I wasn't about to go mint in package with those. So I had those on like little stands. I bought Marvel Legends. I bought the old Toy Biz Marvel Legends before they went to Hasbro. And the X-Men movie figures, both series, all those were out of package and Poe, shit ton of pet dispensers. So for me, it was like, I guess it really stemmed from, not only do I like these things, but this is mine and you can't take it.
Right.
And there one fucking time, she threatened it.
Ooh.
She's like, you're going to come home one of these days. That stuff's going to be gone. I looked her dead in the eyes. I go, you try that and you see what happens. Like DIE. And I remember pulling my dad aside and he was like, Derek, I was like, no, there is no, Derek. That is my money. I am damn near a straight A student. I am working. I am paying my own insurance. I will spend it on whatever the fuck I want. And if she touches shit, Dad, I'm warning you. Your one warning. I had to do that a couple times. She fucked with something once. She didn't take it, but she fucked with my shit.
Yeah.
I can't remember what, because I was angry. I have this thing where, like, if I'm too angry, I don't retain the memory, but I know I did something. I took something of hers that was important.
Okay.
She did not get it back for a week. And she never fucked with my shit again. She did threaten my car one time that I paid for in high school. That was nice. You got to think I was in high school and driving in like 90. And this This was a 92 Pontiac. I bought it on my own. And she got pissed off. She'd get pissed off anytime I parked in front of the mailbox close to it. She's like, I'm going to take the distributor cap off your car. I go, first of all, you could find a distributor cap with fucking road.
Yeah.
I was like, second of all, you do that. I do know how to take a car apart. You're going to come home and your fucking Durango is going to be on blocks and you're going to have a fun little scavenger hunt trying to find where your tires are in this godforsaken town. Anyways, enough fucking bullshit.
Feel better?
I feel great. That's what got me into collecting. And then what are my grails?
Yeah, it's your holy grail. It doesn't have to be because it's out of your price range. It's just could be anything that you would do, air quotes, anything to have that thing.
Completing my superpowers collection. I'm close. I'm close. I have. Oh god, the third wave is so expensive. But I need a second wave. I need Brainiac that doesn't have a busted arm. Third wave, I need like so many, except for Ryan Dole these days. Cyborg. That involves a comma. And then like 5 other figures. I think Plastic Man, Clark Kent, Golden Pharaoh, Orion. If I'm feeling cheeky, the repainted Green Lantern that's repainted as Riddler for the Argentina Super Amigos line. It's the same shit, just for Argentina. And then vehicles, I need the Darkseid Destroyer, the Batcopter, oh god, and the Justice Jogger. I need it. I need it.
Well, hey, I'm this.
I don't have that fucker
because you need it for the collection. You need it for the collection. I get that. I'm the same way with my movies. Yeah. Okay,
it's stupid.
I am the type of like movie geek, especially like the horror community is like this big time. You know, I'm big into horror, but it's like, you know, the only real Halloween movies I like, the original, the third one, which doesn't have anything to do with fucking Michael Myers, the fourth one, and then a couple remakes. But of course, my dumbass, I have to have part 6 that has Paul Rudd in it. You know, I have to have part 5 that I absolutely loathe.
Paul Rudd, baby.
I have the one, you know, with Busta Rhymes, because it's a Halloween movie and I got to have it for the collection. So I get being a completionist. Now, it also, I do have my limitations. You know, there's like, you know, 6 or 7 Wrong Turn movies, and I can only take so many, you know, inbred hillbilly movies. You know, there's like 7 of them. I have like 2, so I do have a cutoff point.
Our competition with fucking Land Before Time, Jesus.
Oh man, that was one thing I was gonna ask. We'll save that because I got some word association for you at the end when we wrap it up. But a couple more things.
I wasn't done with Grails, man.
Oh really? I just figured when you mentioned that Justice League video, that's how you were gonna end it. You're gonna end it on a sour note. What else you got?
Nope. A U.S. flag. Come on. Now I'll be getting it this upcoming year. But still having a vintage Eternia, or even just a piece of it, even if I just had a central tower, that would be pretty cool. But I would say, because everything's pretty attainable except for 2 things. And yeah, I would say Superpower Cyborg, and I'm not a big Joe's guy, but still a USS flag. Yeah, those are grails for me.
Yeah, I mean, my holy grails are like really fucking random. It was more so stuff that, like, the weird obscure things that I was into, like, other than My Pet Monster. The only reason why I want another My Pet Monster, but I'm not fucking paying $300 goddamn dollars on eBay, you know what I mean, is because the one I had was like ruined in a basement flood, you know what I mean, or else that thing would be like in storage, at least here. But I just want to like go on eBay and find weird random shit. Like, do you remember? I don't know if you remember Battle Trolls. You know, those things were a lot of fun because they're fun, weird stuff to display. Or what were they called? Like food fighters or something like that. Like hamburgers with legs, and they were dressed up like soldiers. You know what I mean?
If you like those, and when we eventually cover them, I'll need to go back on GDL's archives and find it. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was just like, it was like food fighters for adults that grew up on it. It's a newer line. I can't remember the name. Basically, it's office supplies. It was like a Kickstarter campaign, and they managed to make.
Barnyard Commandos. That's another good one. I remember those. Yeah.
I think they had plans for 7 of these, but we're only able to make 5. But yeah, if you get a chance, or if I find it, I'll send you a link to it. But
okay.
Yeah, it's these freaking, it's like food fighters, but it's like office supplies or some shit like that.
Really?
I'll send it to you. I'll find it and I'll send it.
Yeah, because like you couldn't play with them because the figures couldn't fucking move. You know what I mean? They were literally just for display only.
Was there any articulation on them?
No. No,
Okay.
Food Fighters.
So
I'm
basically
almost positive.
was
The Food Fighters. I'm almost positive there wasn't. I know for a fact the Battle Trolls they weren't, because I remember I had. What did I have? I had the Trollminator. You know what I mean? You know, the Terminator one. And I remember my brother had, I think, the football player, and he's 5 years younger than me, and he was pissed off that they couldn't move, so he just gave me his Battle Troll. So I just had him on, on display. So I just want those things that were so absurd
yeah.
that, I grew up with
Third,
that.
I,
No one
but
really, other than like nostalgic geeks like us, really remember or knew existed.
oh yeah. Well, in speaking of obscure, I mean, something I would track down would. I'm 99% certain it was Galoob. I get the Galoob Dick Tracy figures. 9 to 5 Warriors.
I never heard
But
of those.
yeah, it's like the last couple months they came out with them. They were pretty
Okay.
rad.
I'm gonna write that down.
That's what it was. Quip and a clutch. Okay, so that covers my grails.
Mm-hmm.
You were gonna ask me.
I was gonna say
Word association.
Well, I got a few more before that because
Okay.
you mentioned like Land Before Time. That's gonna like go into a little.
Yes.
Now, was there anything like I mentioned that weird shit in Battle Trolls, Food Fighters, Mad Balls? You know what I mean? I was big into Mad Balls. Was there anything that like you were into growing up that your friends, another one for me? What was it? Oh God, Turbo Teen. That was another thing that's going into this category. Anything that you either collected, played with or watched that you felt like you're the only one that enjoyed, like your friends and your family would look like, why the fuck are you even watching that or collecting those things? Like something real obscure or air quote stupid, that you just enjoyed so much, but everyone just gave you like the side eye for enjoying it so much.
I got two.
Okay.
Galaxy High and Kissy.
Never heard of
the fuck out of Kissy Fur.
Never heard of it.
Which one, Kissy Fur or Galaxy High?
I've heard of Galaxy High. I've never heard of Kissy Fur.
Yeah, Kissy Fur. It was very much kid show. If I remember correctly, it's centered around circus animals. Their train damn near derails or something. They wind up living on their own. And I think what drew me to it is it's centered around a father bear and his cub.
Okay. Makes sense.
Oh, I couldn't tell you why I was into that.
Yeah. Okay. Few more things. Okay. Shauna's got little Henry gone for the entire day. You have nothing to do with FedEx. You're not tired. You're not grumpy. You don't have nothing to do podcast related. You have nothing to do. What is the perfect relaxing day for Derek? Like you have a whole full 24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours. Sleeping in. What are you doing to have Derek Day? Like I said, there's no chance that Henry's going to show up. There's no. I mean, even the dogs are gone. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Okay. I'm going to sound like a crazy person. My perfect day. Let's say, okay, let's add to this hypothetical. They leave on a Friday night to go up to Chicago to go see mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I got all of Saturday.
Friday into Sunday afternoon.
Okay. How about that? Okay. Bits and bits. I can work with that. Okay. So I'm coming home. I'm coming home on Friday. I am taking a shower. I am going to clean the fuck out of my house. And that means I am taking like a brop or whatever duster thing. I'm just seeing curtains, walls, everything. I am cleaning my fucking house, man. I am cleaning it top to bottom. I am bleaching the floors. I am bleaching the toilet. I'm cleaning the sinks. I'm making the beds. I am taking all the laundry, every stitch of it downstairs. I got it organized. I'm not doing it on Friday night, but I'm taking it downstairs. I am. God,
no, go for it, dude. No wrong answer.
I am going to, the way I see it, that takes me till about 8 o'clock. I'm going to get myself ready. I'm going to get cleaned up. I'm going to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And by out, I mean I'm going to go to a pub or Corey's Pub or something like that. I'm going to get myself a goddamn Reuben. I'm going to sit down with the Reuben sandwich by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit down, have a Reuben and a goddamn, and then hit up Josh and Ben, the fourth man, the man who makes sure the website is going strong. I'm going to get them together. We're going to sit down. We're going to fire. We're going to bullshit. Have a couple Jackson Cokes, just BS about dad life and shit. I'm going to get home at about 11:30, 12 o'clock, more than likely 1 a.m. I'm going to come home. I'm going to take a shower, get the stank of the fire off me. Going to be preemptive and throw in the first load in the washer. I can deal with that in the morning. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to fall asleep watching either Batman 89 or Weird Science.
Movie or TV show? Batman or Weird Science?
A fucking movie.
Oh, hey, I love the TV show, dude.
That's all fine and well, but come on. I'm going to wake up, like sleeping in for me is 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no, I'm a mute. I am then going to make sure all the laundry's getting done. I'm going to find a project in this house, whether it's dry lining a room that we need to do. Basically, I'm going to get a project going, and I'm going to spend at least 5-6 hours on that and make some serious headway. If not finish it, all the laundry's going to be done. Very good. So going and meal prep. I'm going to meal prep. I'm such a fucking dork now. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to have casseroles ready. I'm going to have different meals ready. Like I'm going to do all this possible shit to make my life easier. The following, the way I look at it, I am done with all this crap. 7 o'clock.
There he is.
He said the line.
Yeah, powder keg has finally showed up. Good for him.
Here, yeah, I would be a huge fucking dork all weekend. I would probably get basically Friday night till about Saturday late afternoon, early evening. Bunch of shit done. In the words of Wayne Campbell, that way I got all weekend to party. And yeah, maybe I, go do something. Honestly, I would probably if they're still gone Saturday night, I would go see a movie by myself.
What kind of movie would it be?
Oh my God, it's Gen Mask.
Yep.
Yay, baby. So yeah, I would just be this huge dork that is not this savage that used to be like roughly 10 years ago.
It's different when we get old, dude.
Sure, my Alf Pogs are in perfect order because Alf's back.
In Pog form. Yeah.
That's right. I would just, and then I would probably go, if there was something good in the theaters, I would go see it by myself. Because I do like going to movies by myself. I'm weird
too. Yeah.
And that, or I'd sit at home and I would probably make myself a good cut of meat, a good steak, probably a London broil, and I would just sit down and watch an old classic of that an old go-to like Raiders or Back to the Future or Batman 89 or something.
I'll tell you what, I'll sidetrack this. One of the things, because I just want to bring this up, one of the things that I love being a parent, and you're noticing with your son, like getting into the stuff that you've loved, is one of my favorite like dad moments ever was getting my daughter into Back to the Future, because she's a sucker for time travel now. Bill and Ted, like we binge watched the Bill and Ted trilogy like a couple of weeks ago for like the second time. It's the scene at the dance, and the ginger kid has already pushed George to the side. Scram McFly, I'm coming in, I'm cutting in. And she's old enough to understand the importance of what's going on. Marty's disappearing. He's bending over on the stage. Hey boy, you all right? That whole stuff. And then you got George, I'm a Crispin Glover cultist. If he's done a movie, I've seen it or own it.
I'm sorry.
I love the dude. I love the dude.
But yeah, I love Crispin Glover. He's so weird.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic rabbit hole. Trust me.
I love it.
I'm sitting on the couch like I am in the chair right now, and she is sitting sideways, in front of me watching the TV, so I can see like her profile, and she's watching it. And George shoves the little ginger kid down, and
the guy Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah, or Children of the Corn. You know what I mean? He's Malachi from Children of the Corn, and that made redheaded boys evil for generations, and still to this day.
Oh yeah.
But I love how George pulls her in for the kiss, and you just see her like my daughter clenches her fist and goes like, yes, you know what I mean? So she's getting into that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like we can plug the next episode coming out. For Yesterdaze, I got her into Gremlins. You know what I mean? And she loved Gremlins so much. The very next day, because I watched that every Christmas. The very next day, she made me put in Gremlins 2, and she fucking loved it. Even more so because that's the cartoon one. That's the Looney Tunes one. And
that's the bonkers one. Like I think Jason says in our episode, it's like I think that's the one where Joe Dante just got to go ape shit.
That's the only way he would do the second one. They said as if he could do it how he wanted to do it. Yeah.
I'm reading. Oh man, that's awesome that you got to go see it in the theater, dude. That's I hope we have like revival stuff around here from time to time.
We do too.
Really hope that by the time he's old enough for it to hit with him, we can go to a theater, because that'll be all three of us. Like Shauna loves that movie. Her dad loved that movie. My old man loved that movie. Like that is a visceral experience for the Hoover Bernice families. Hi everyone. It's Prudence. Dear Prudence. I do love this dog. I bitch a lot about dogs, but I love this dog.
Oh yeah.
That's my girl. God damn it. What were we talking about?
I don't remember. I actually sidetracked you this time.
Hold on. I can get it back. It's up there somewhere. Let's see. Collecting. Then I talked about weird shit. And then Perfect Day. We were doing Perfect Day. We did Perfect Day. Perfect Day. Okay, so you were on to your next question then.
Okay.
Pretty much
a few other things about Yesterdaze. How do you choose what you're going to talk about? Because a lot of it, other than Halloween time, Elvira, Monster Squad, the Monster serials, Christmas time, I'm revealing it because it's on the website. You know what I mean? You are talking Christmas Story and Gremlins, movie wise. But a lot of it is very random and obscure. Like, Mask, we knew what Mask was, but it didn't have a huge following. No one fucking watched Brave Star but us. You know what I mean? No one watched Gravedale High but us. It's very, very random. You do have Pete and Pete out. How do you decide if it's going to be an obscure episode or something that everybody knows? I mean, how far in advance do you plan this out? Or you just really pull it out of your ass and we're going to be like, okay, today we're talking about Camp Candy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, when I, at the outset, the first thing I told myself was you aren't doing anything big. You're not starting with that. Like, I didn't want to start. I love He-Man.
Right. Yeah.
I love He-Man. I really love Thundercats. And I have an affinity for it, but I don't have, I'm closer to He-Man and Thundercats than I am to the Joes and Transformers, but I still have a soft spot for them. Excuse me. Soft spot for them. So the first thing I told myself was like, okay, pick 5 major franchises that are probably the biggest franchises when people think toys. I promise you, Jen, I want to do a Little Shop. I'm working on what that looks like.
Bro, Little Shop of Horrors, I know that word for word, and I have the soundtrack on my iPod, and I've introduced it to my daughter. She loves it. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. If that's in the pipeline, trust me, I'll be listening to that one out of order.
Okay, good. Oh, I told myself from Jump Street, like, you're not gonna do the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I landed on He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
Those were 5 really big ones. I'm like, you're not jumping into those right away because those are big properties, and
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna basically plan an event around them.
Makes sense.
So then I was like, okay, well, what's next after that? I've always had an affinity for Mask, and
Mm-hmm.
right around that time, there was a lot of chatter and excitement about it because Ramen Toys was getting ready to finally ship their not Thunderhawk. It's very well done. They essentially made a Thunderhawk with Matt Tracker's main car.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I want to do a Mask episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, well, what else can I do in there? And that first month ended up being kind of a happy accident because I wanted to do Mask because it was on my mind. I didn't realize when I scheduled it that it was going to line up with when those figures were coming out,
Mm-hmm.
or when that toy was coming out, and how much people were going to be talking about it. Same thing with Brave Star. I didn't realize the week it was coming out, the following day was going to be, because every new episodes drop on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That day was an anniversary for Brave Star.
Mm-hmm.
I think like 2 weeks later, or no, the following week, I think it was an anniversary for Gem as well. Like,
Yeah.
it just shook that month was like hitting on anniversary dates for all those. I wanted to talk Gem because I loved Gem.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking dug it. And I think what got that on my mind was because Marvel Legends announced that they were going to do a Crystar figure. And like some of us were like starting to talk like, God, how great would it be if there was like a Marvel Legends kind of Gem figure style. So it started with, okay, I'm going to pick these. That was September, and that was easy. October was pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, well, it just has to be Halloween themed. And it just kind of fell into place. I think you great high. If I'm I think you suggested that. I'm like, oh God, that's a good one.
I may have. I know, I do enjoy, sometimes I get a little heads up on like what the episodes are, what you're thinking. And I remember, yeah, we were talking about, Gravedale High was great, but I don't think it's gonna fucking hold up. But one thing I want to jump in, like what I also liked is like when you guys did the monster cereals, it was great, for audio. Obviously, you guys were eating and trying the cereal as it went on, and I loved how like there was a lot of build up because we had this new monster character, and I think only one of the 3 of you guys liked it.
Me,
Yeah.
I liked it.
I don't know if it was Dustin or Jason who bought it, but he told you to take the fucking thing home with you because he wasn't gonna eat it.
And Johnny Boy, yes, please help me become even closer to being more solvent with this show. Still about $10-15 in the red every month.
Yeah, we got to get that Ralph Bashki episode, especially if we got to get some Fritz the Cat and Cool World talk. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So from there, September or November became. At that point, I had 2 patrons. Well, yeah. I had Maureen, aka Mo. God damn that dog. The off-praised patron Mike were our first 2 patrons, and part of that top tier is you get to pick an episode, you get to pick a property that we talk. So I asked him like, well, what do you want to do? So it's like end of September, beginning of October. No, I'm sorry, a little bit earlier than that. I think August-ish. That Mo was suggesting, well, why don't you do Pete and Pete? Or no, God damn it, I'm sorry, my brain's pudding.
Go ahead, dude.
God damn it. I think okay, no, it would have been at some point in September. Whatever, it was a while. She suggested Pete and Pete. Mike suggested controversial or banned toys. And then from there, we end up getting more patrons, and I let them pick episodes, and then I started building around what they wanted to do.
Okay.
So way November went, it was like, okay, it's November, Thanksgiving, let's give thanks. I had Dustin come up with an entire list of like, I was like, dude, what's some stuff you want to cover? Like, what properties that were near and dear to you? So that's how Rock and Wrestling became an episode, and then alternated that week, like people like cast members, their picks interspersed with pay picks. I wasn't doing a goddamn Bill Bellamy episode in fucking November.
See, and that's another running gag that I love. You know, every episode they're pushing for that one.
I'm glad you love it. I have something related to that. No, Shauna, as mentioned in the Denver The Last Dinosaur episode, because she helps me come up with plotting stuff. She helps me. She's like, are you going to cover this? Have you thought about covering that? She very pointedly, it's like, you're going to do Denver The Last Dinosaur. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And then from there, December, just, I looked at the date everything would fall. And I knew from the beginning, Christmas Story was going to be the last episode of the year, because the last episode of the year drops on Christmas Day. This is 5 years since my dad's gone. He died on December 23rd, 5 years ago. And that was a favorite of mine and his. I'm like, okay, bar none, Christmas Story.
Yep.
That's the episode. And then I was like, God damn it, dude. And for a while there, Die Hard was going to be in Gremlin's position. And then I was like, I kept struggling with that. I'm like, do I do that like for season 1? And then the real bugaboo was like, okay, how do I fill the rest of December? And I said, the more I thought about it, like, it just kind of came to me. I was like, well, what if we talked about people losing their shit? This isn't, because when I pitched this idea to Dustin and Jason, I was like, no, this isn't just going to be me talking about toys for an hour and a half and you two just sitting there. No, about toys and comics and cartoons and primetime television shows and movies. And we're probably even going to talk about some news stories too, and maybe even some bands that are related to Gen X and early millennials, like things that made our childhood and teens special.
Right.
So I started thinking, I was like, well, what if I did kind of lean into blending news with toys? And that's where week 2 and week 3 of December came up. Christmas Craze Part 1 and Christmas Craze Part 2. Kind of two real watershed moments of people losing their shit toy for Christmas.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah. And then I think it stemmed out of, we were getting close to Christmas and I was like, fuck, I haven't watched Gremlins in a while. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I doing Die Hard?
Yeah.
Because the whole idea, I was like, I want to do something that's not necessarily always thought of as a Christmas movie. And I was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to do Gremlin.
Yeah.
I was like, it's right there in front of your face.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's to answer your question more succinctly, because basically all I did was just go through my fucking episode schedule.
Hey, free promotion, dude. Go ahead.
It stems from, how am I going to theme it? Like now, especially going into season 2, I'm building things around themes.
Okay.
So a little peek, January, which I have 90% of January written, and we start recording January on Monday, is going to be Make Mine Marvel Month. And it is completely celebrating 90s Marvel animation.
Yes.
That stemmed out of one of our patrons, Brett, picking the 1994 Spider-Man series as his patron pick. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And I was like, man. And around that time, our friend Nate, aka Nostalgia Nate, became a patron, and then Allison became a patron. And Allison and Nate both picked some deep cuts. And I was like, I don't want to pair Spider-Man with 2 really deep cuts. I was like, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do about this? And just the way this fell, Brett's was definitely be in January. I was like, well, what if I did? And I floated it by Dustin and Jason. I was like, what if we did 90s animation, 90s Marvel animation built around Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not on the website yet. I'm sorry, I'm like itchy as shit. I'm like torn up. So like I have bursitis in this shoulder. This is also the arm that got crushed by a door, the back gate of my truck. If you notice, my head's got a little bit of lilt to it because just my neck's a little fucked up. I got pinched nerves. It's funny. I'm a FedEx guy and a toy nerd, but I'm sitting here torn up like fucking Gavin, who's a professional wrestler.
Yep.
I've been too hard on my fucking body.
Trust me, I get it, dude. I work in a factory, and I've been working in a factory for 20 fucking years. Trust me.
I also did a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
In my fucking 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember me saying this, but I got a dog in me.
Yeah.
So how January ended up getting paced out was let's go nuts. Let's open 2024 in season 2 by going. So it's going to be episode 1, 90s X-Men. Episode 2, Marvel Action Hour. That's covering Fantastic Four and Iron Man because they were a package together.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3, Brett's episode, Spider-Man 94 with Spider-Man Unlimited. Thankfully, it's 13 episodes. It was largely trash, so
yeah, we're in the middle right now. It's not 90s, but me and my daughter are watching the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series from like 2012. Yeah,
that was like that early teens, I guess, or 10s, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Post 2010 Marvel animation, that was solid.
Yeah.
But then like episode 4 is, I may have to move my chair in a minute and get on a charger.
That's fine. We're almost done, bud.
Episode 4 is going to be Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 5 is going to be Silver Surfer and Avengers United They Stand. I'm going to hedge my bets and.
Yeah. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Praying to God. Praying to God.
Oh God. Shit kitchen that I need to remodel. Oh
my. Yeah, I mean that's actually really cool because 2 of the things that I started with cartoon wise with my daughter was I got her into the 90s X-Men cartoon and she fucking fell in love with it. And then we started with Spider-Man because I got her into like reading the old like cartoons from the 60s. So we got her into Spider-Man. Yeah. And then we graduated to the X-Men because I prefer, other than that oh god, that final season of X-Men animated. I can't wait till you guys get into that because that final season is fucking trash. Other than Jubilee's like fairy tale, where of course she makes Wolverine the grumpy troll. I think that final season is just garbage. But it still holds up for the most part.
It's not good.
No.
That last season's not.
So, and then that's why we're now on, Ultimate Spider-Man, because she's also with this generation. She grew up on Teen Titans Go, and it's very much in the style of that stuff. So, yeah, I can't wait for January's going to be good, dude.
January is going to be loaded. Mm-hmm. And then, we go into February, and I built that as a that month is going to be the obscure and the odd.
Okay.
Because Nate's pick and Allison's pick is going to be in there. And they, like I said, they did some deep cuts. So Nate picked Sectars.
I know what those are. Those fucking creepy ass. Those were awesome, but I was a dumbass kid. I always pulled the antennas out of the action figures just so you can have like the bullet hole in the head. I don't know why. I was a dumbass kid. I was also the kid that like chewed on the hands of the G.I. Joes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Interview over.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.
Allison picked Golden Girl from Galoob.
No idea.
Oh.
I had some very foggy memories about it. And then once I started going down the rabbit hole, I was like, oh my God, I remember this. Very, very She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Okay.
Based on like the commercials, it's a crime that there wasn't a cartoon. And then
so it was a toy figure line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. It was outstanding, and the character designs were great. Now, we ended up getting a patron along the way, but she didn't know what to pick, and I was going to surprise you with this. Very good. I was going to surprise you with this, and I sat on this until tonight. We had somebody who was an Ernest patron become a Yesterdaze patron. She's like, I don't know what to pick, and you could pick for me. I was like, well, can I donate your pick to somebody? And she said yes.
Okay.
So we're doing Mad Balls.
Fuck yes.
And then I will they know who they are. An individual did kind of did some work or help me with something, help me research something. And I know not everybody has, the economy blows.
Yeah.
So not everybody can be a patron right now. And I understand that. Anybody who is helping me grow things and cover cost of like the website and my lips and fees and shit, I appreciate that. But if somebody is going to do work for me for free, or research something for me for free and help me make something better, I'm gonna be. Why don't you pick an episode? So
I can't, like I was saying, like I can't contribute financially, but that's why I'm always doing my best just to promote the shit out of the show. You know what I mean? Because it's something I really enjoy, and as a content creator myself, I know how hard it is to at least first get that audience, and then once you get it, you got to keep it and then build on that. So
well, and that's why we're doing Mad Balls and not fucking Bill Bellamy.
Sorry, Dustin.
Oh no, it's not Dustin. Yeah. It's not Dustin. I promise you, I do have a story about that, and I will. It's coming. Okay. But no, we're gonna do King Arthur. I think it's King. I have it written down. King Arthur and the Knights of the Realm.
Okay.
March is pretty much already planned.
Okay. Wow. Damn.
Because you asked like how far out.
That's true. Plan? And you guys film a couple episodes at once, right? Or do you do the whole month at once?
We tend to do 3.
Okay.
Tend to.
Okay.
If it's a tight night, 2. But usually we've been pretty consistent and good at doing 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is Metal Mayhem month.
Okay.
And local legend Marty Wambacher, who is a blogger and stuff, he's gonna be on the first episode, and that's gonna be This Is Spinal Tap.
Ooh. Which they just announced the sequel.
Yeah. But not only that, 2 days after it comes out, or the day the episode comes out, that's 2 days after its 40th anniversary. Johnny Boy, who's been in the chats tonight, he found me. He through not so legal ways, he is getting me a copy of what would normally be $150 fucking dollars on eBay. He's getting me a copy of Nelvana's Rock and Rule.
Okay.
And we're covering that. Do you remember that?
It rings a bell. It rings a bell.
A lot of Cheap Trick and Debbie Harry on the soundtrack. Very good. Dulled animation. We're gonna follow that up with heavy metal. And
John Candy is the perverted robot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the 4th episode, I'm debating on either covering the Bill and Ted's cartoon, or flirting with the idea of covering a band associated pretty hard with the 80s.
Okay. All right.
So we'll see. April right now it's planned, but I'm kind of keeping that top secret.
It's all good.
Because there's something I'm working on.
No,
I think I've talked to you directly a little bit about it.
I'm admitting or and denying everything. It's all good.
Thank you. You're the perfect witness.
Yeah, I'm unreliable, 100%.
I just saw his chat. He said he just got done converting into 1080p for me. So fucking A.
Yeah.
No, so in regards to Bill Bellamy, Jason kind of threw the gauntlet.
Okay, it was Jason.
He said he has never seen the movie Batman and Robin. And he said he will never see it. And he said he would watch it if I somehow managed to get Bill Bellamy on the show. So now it is a goal of mine. I don't care if it is a 90-second phone call. I don't care if it's a pre-recorded video. Bill Bellamy, I am going to find a way to get, I don't care if it's 10 seasons deep. I'm going to get him on that show. And then Jason's going to watch fucking Batman and Robin in all its bat nipple glory.
I'm already thinking of a way, which I won't say online, that I could just message you on how to do it, and we'll leave it at that. It's possible.
I'm looking forward to planning that. So you'll get your goddamn Bill Bellamy, Jason Tosher, but you're gonna watch bat nipples and cod pieces of plenty.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how. As far as scheduling, I just and I'm sorry I'm shaking so much. I'm holding the camera now. I kind of just fall into scheduling if that makes sense.
It does.
It just falls into place depending on like one thing can end up determining an entire month's worth of episodes. So it's situational. It's based on like what a patron picks, or just what falls in my lap, I guess.
No, it makes total sense. I am going to say this, since we are getting mad balls, you are going to have to subject the boys to the two VHS shorts, if you know what I'm talking about, the Escape from Orb cartoon, and especially Gross Jokes, because I couldn't tell you how many times I rented that. And that was another thing, I say, because, other than Turbo Teen, Mad Balls was the things my parents scuffed my eyes at. They would always get pissed. That's what I would pick to rent from, like, Circus Video or whatever. You don't want to rent wrestling, or you don't want to rent Indiana Jones. No, I want to watch the Mad Balls, in this Monty Python flying circus type of animation, tell these awful, stupid jokes. And I actually have somewhere, I have a bootleg VHS somewhere in my closet of both of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All
what
right.
else you got for me, champ?
We're going to do our little word association, and then we're going to do your links and stuff like that. This is how I like to end it. And you can answer this word association with as little or as much as you want, because some of this stuff is going to hit for you, character or content wise. I'm going to throw out something, and you tell me either your love for, your hate for. I don't give a shit about it. We're gonna, we're gonna start running He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Word association. Your attachment to that.
Loneliness.
Okay. Yep. Thundercats.
Loneliness and fear.
Okay. Ooh. Loneliness and fear. Does that associate with John Hughes movies as well?
No. Okay, let me ask you this. Would it help you if I very succinctly put the He-Man and Thundercats thing into perspective?
You can answer these however you want, as little or as much as you want.
Okay. Oh, okay. So He-Man and Thundercats, loneliness and fear, divorce and being an only child and being by myself. I didn't have anybody to talk to. But I had my He-Man to talk to. I didn't have anybody to work out why I was angry or how I was angry. I didn't have anybody to work that out with, but I could work it out with my He-Man figures. Loneliness and fear in regards to, that sounds way too negative. Courage. I will associate, let me rewind the tape a little and change those words. Instead of loneliness, I'm going to say comfort.
Okay.
Comfort in regards to He-Man.
All right.
He-Man was comfortable. He-Man made me feel a lot more comfortable, and that's who I could talk about my problems to. I could have my He-Man and Skeletor and could talk about my problems, more or less. Courage in regards to Thundercats, because I was scrawny. I was a scrawny fucking kid. It took a lot of years to build into this beefy mailbox of a man. But I was scared of a lot of shit when I was a kid. My mom, I'm sure you have. I know I've shared a couple vids with you too. My mom was largely imperfect. She wasn't an evil person, but she was very perfect, and she had her demons, and she's very flawed. So circumstances arose where I had a lot of things that scared me. I joked about fucking pissing bed all the time. I had a lot of anxiety because I was used to being abandoned in the middle of the night. So I learned a lot about courage and standing up to bullies and not being afraid from Lion-O. As cheesy as that might sound,
no,
that's where I learned those things. Like if I was scared, like if I didn't know what to do in the face of a bully, or somebody picking on somebody else, it was Pekin's own Larry Kenny's voice that I heard in my so those there you go.
No, that's
my association, He-Man and Thundercats.
No, that's really cool actually. And growing up, it's everyone has a life that we don't know about and how we associate, and if it's not the best life, you know what I mean, we have to find that positivity or that comfort somewhere. So I mean, I really like those two answers. You know what I mean? I got more than I was
trying to be more positive in my 40s.
It's not worth it.
Oh, come on.
I'm teasing. And like I said, if you have no association, I'm just picking random nostalgia stuff. John Hughes movies.
Party.
Yeah.
Party time.
You got a favorite John Hughes? First thing that pops to your mind.
Weird Science.
Okay.
Weird Science. All day, every day.
Let's go.
Followed by Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club is really, really good. I didn't appreciate it as a kid until I have been out of high school 10, 15 years. You know what I mean?
I need to rewind that. Weird Science, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Top 3 Hughes.
Okay. Let's go from one great director to another, Richard Donner.
Superman.
That a boy. Thank God. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Goonies, but I'm so glad someone said Superman.
Yeah,
so
Superman.
Okay, we're going to now. We grew up in the 80s. Compare 80s McDonald's Happy Meals toys then to now.
Fuck now.
Yeah. Perfect answer.
We try to. It's a reward for Henry. If he has a good week has a banger of a week, Friday night is Happy Meal night. Thank you for saying that.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The toys now suck.
Yeah.
They suck. If it's not the same goddamn Marvel link them together, push a button and their fist does one of these. Yeah. If it's not one of those, yes. Yes, Allison. Yes.
I still have this is an animated Batman, but I still have those Batman mugs. You know what I mean? I still have all 4 of them, dude.
Oh, I got them. Hell yeah, I got them. The Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays, no, that's true. And nowadays, it's goddamn. I sound back in my day.
We had little robots that were shaped as hotcakes, and we could fold them out into these really bad GoBot imitations.
I was just gonna say that. Back in my day, we had changeables. Yeah, no, they're terrible now, except for the Boo Buckets. They are. Well, there was one, and he got all of them. The Elemental, that Pixar movie. Those were okay. It was like these little like key cars, and like you put it in and press a button and fire off. Those were pretty cool.
Okay.
But for the most part, dude, they suck.
I know.
Dick.
Yeah. Remember when we like they came in parts that were connected, you had to break them out, of these little pieces of plastic, and you had to that way then you had to assemble them yourself. And because
you had to earn it.
Exactly. And of course, because one kid, because they have a warning, they had to swallow some of the plastic parts. They also had to be pre-assembled and stuff like that.
Be a shame if you watched your fucking kid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Another thing I said, because this kind of segues into it, because you told, toys like, the Land Before Time. Remember when Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut, they had those Land Before Time puppets. Exactly. I had like 3 of those. I know that. Let's go from how McDonald's and Pizza Hut sadly is now to like the play areas they had. Remember that, when we were growing up, they had that scary fucking tree, or you can climb inside Big Mac or the Grimace cage.
Hell.
And now it's just playing basketball and going down a slide.
It's I hate the ones now simply because I'm a psychopath.
We can smell our own. It's okay.
It's one of those things where it's like, I think she's come to have more of an appreciation for it now. But especially around the time Henry being about 2 or 3, Shauna would bust my balls and call me a helicopter parent quite a bit. And I was like, no, I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm not he's going to get older and he's going to be able to stand on his own. And it's going to be my job to be a watchful eye and a guiding hand and pick him up when life fucking sucker punches him. I was like, right now, he's not 11, he's not 12, he's not 16, he's not 17. He's 3, and the world is terrible, and the world is evil, and everything it wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can't look at the world that way. I was like, no, I can, because I lived it. And, I don't want to. Everybody has bullshit that they've gone through. Everybody has trauma. My bad day could look like a great day to somebody. There's people out there who've had it far, far, far worse than me. And, Shauna's family had its ups and downs. But even she will tell you, like, I can't hold a candle to the crap he's been through. I'm not trying to get up on the fucking cross or something.
Oh, no.
But, to put it very, like I said, 4 or 5 years old, I'm left alone in the middle of the night because she wanted to go drink across the alley. Where I lived in East Peoria, there was a shit ton of like runoff, spillways, creeks, shit like that. I can't tell you how many times I came close to drowning in those. I can't tell you how many times I came close to being kidnapped. Not a joke. I can't tell you how many times I came close to older kids just thinking it would be funny to beat the ever-loving shit out of me. Learned how to fight real fast. So to me, the world is... I know there's a lot of good in this world. I know there's a lot of good people in this world. And communally, human beings are capable of wonderful, beautiful, good, pure things. They're also capable of very evil things.
Oh, yeah.
So I know this sounds like a fucked up way to describe like why I prefer one jungle gym over another.
Yeah.
I don't. And it seems to me, and we're about the same age. There were dickhead kids when we were 5 years old.
Dude, I've been the fat kid since 3rd grade. Yeah.
This day.
Yeah.
It's a different kind. It's a different fucking breed, dude.
Kids are more vicious. They're so much more vicious and evil nowadays.
It's either vicious or evil, or just the parents are just so uninvolved that their kids are. It's not feral like when we were feral,
right?
Like running through the streets and all this other shit, or don't come home until the
lights are on, the lampposts are on. Yeah.
No, it's feral. No, it's not feral. It's rabid. And I don't I feel bad when we go to a McDonald's because all he wants to do is go up and play in those. I can't see him. And I don't trust other people's kids. I don't.
I get it.
I do not trust them. because case in point, we've had some incidents on just regular jungle gyms where I'm scolding a child that isn't I'm not yelling and screaming at him, but
There's a
putting
difference.
I'm putting the fear of God in them and actually showing discipline because their mom is over there with, her Polar Pop on her fucking phone looking at God knows what instead of watching her kid.
Right.
So somebody has to, step up. It takes a village.
Yeah.
But the quote unquote scary McDonald one, that was amazing. It was I was never scared of those. I thought they were fucking cool.
Yeah.
But if those existed now, I'd have no problem with them playing out. I can see.
You can see him. Yeah.
Those play places now, like he goes up in those tunnels. If some kid wants to beat the shit out of him up there,
you wouldn't know.
I'm not going to know until he's down.
Yeah.
Down out of the tube or whatever. So no, fuck the new play places. Then it's just nobody's going up and cleaning those.
No.
Streptococcus in
well,
those?
That's why they got rid of ball pits and like Hardee's because kids were pissing in them. You know what I mean?
No thanks.
On that note, I got two more, and then we're going to close this up. And these two word associations, I've only found out because of the Yesterdaze podcast because they were brought up. The first one, they do the theme song, the Fantastic Plastics.
Yeah.
That was the word association.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do I associate with them?
Yeah, Fantastic Plastics.
Oh, God. Like
why them specifically for doing the theme song and all that stuff? Anything?
Well, believe it or not, originally they weren't slated to be the theme song.
Really?
I hadn't even talked to them yet. I ended up getting in contact with a synthwave creator by the name of his name's Carl. I think he's out of Chicago, but it's White Bat Audio. And I listen to like a lot of synthwave shit, and so does Ben, brand manager Ben, website Ben. And he turned me on to him, and I was listening. I come across a song called Athena. And I loved it, and I was like, man, that would make a great opener. And I reached out to him, and he's like, yeah, no, if my music says copyright free and free use, blah blah blah, use it for your podcast. You're more than welcome to. Best of luck. And then I want to say it was like within like 2 or 3 days, Dustin hit me up, like we were talking about like theme music and stuff. He's like, well, have you listened to the Fantastic Plastics? We've talked about them on the show. I was like, I remember you playing some songs. I was like, I'm not super familiar with the catalog. And he's like, well, check them out on Spotify. So I started, I wasn't going to pull up Spotify, so I just went to YouTube.
Yeah.
So I started listening. I was like, God damn, these guys sound good. And then I was like, yeah, no, I really dig them. He's like, well, no, I know them, and they're from around here. And like Tyson, the Tyson Plastic, Tyson Markley, he's like, no, he's like kind of the front man. I can get you in contact with him. And that very day I started talking with him. And I mean, him and I went back and forth from about, I can tell you exactly when it was, about 3:45 in the afternoon. Because I just finished my goddamn 4:45 in the afternoon. Because I just finished my fucking pickup at Alexander's Manufacturing in Towanda, Illinois. And we messaged each other pretty much all night, and we're talking about different songs. He's like, well, I think it was Tyson was like, well, what's your show about? Like, give me kind of the vibe of what you're talking about. And he's like, okay, well, can you give me an idea of what you're looking for musically? I was like, this is the closest approximation I can come up with. And I sent him that song by White Bat Audio. And he's like, well, I could come up with something new. He's like, but why don't you check this out? And he's like, check out our song Sparks. And the sound was awesome. Like, I just loved how that song sounded. And the inside baseball of that song, I think it's more about like people being connected to social media. Like, I constantly got to check my phone. I need that dopamine hit. But like, I heard the lyrics and I thought, I wasn't necessarily thinking, notifications. I was thinking you're buying that next cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're finding that toy you've been tracking. You bought that grail and getting a dopamine hit from that. So him and I were like kind of on the same wavelength with that. I was like, dude, I'd love to, I got to use this song. And that's just how that kind of came together. So with them, I just kind of associate this like new wave pop, almost in some cases neo nostalgia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a fun theme song, and then like the shit that Powder Keg is edited into, it fits perfectly.
He's I think it was with Pete and Pete. That is the most up to date because we added Lion-O and we moved Macho Man.
Okay.
And that latest one that he came up with, because it's gone through 3 versions. There was the one that was from the beginning. And then the Rock and Wrestling, it had Macho Man before Brian Blessed saying Gordon's alive.
Yeah.
And then after moving forward, I think from Pete and Pete, it's Lion-O is in there after Optimus, and then it's Gordon's alive. Oh yeah. It's fucking perfect. It's perfect. Dustin's a goddamn genius.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to the Rock and Wrestling episode, because thanks to you, again, with the research you do with it, I had no idea fucking Bonnie Tyler took the theme song from Rock and Wrestling and used it or resampled it, however the fucking way you want to say. You know how many goddamn times I've listened to that fucking song just because of that episode? Just to get that nostalgic feel. And it's a banging song. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, Ravishing is kind of a banger.
Yeah, it really is.
I got enough juice on here. I can actually get it back on top of Mom.
Okay.
Love you, Mom.
Now we're going to soundbite that and share it everywhere.
Love you, Mom.
Oh. All right. Last one, and then we're gonna end this for you, buddy. And the only reason I'm throwing this out there, because I love the concept. It was mentioned in one episode. Don't remember what it was, but you mentioned it on Twitter as well. Max Sabbath.
Yeah.
It is I'm very interested, because I think it was because we kind of share the same, I don't know, anxiety when it comes to concerts. This was your first like outside concert, with a crowd. And of all things, you went to a Black Sabbath cover band that is McDonaldland characters.
Right.
And yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that's the final word association. Let's talk a little bit about let's end on Max Sabbath.
The draw for me was actually Cybertronics.
Okay.
Max Sabbath was just, a little bonus in there. Toys ready.
3 minutes of playtime.
Giant kielbasa sausage fingers.
Yeah.
No, I think Cybertronic Spree came on my radar. COVID 2020. Like, here's these Autobots. I think it was around then, or it was. Yeah, I want to say it was around then. Off a little bit. It's not important. But I saw that on Facebook, and then I heard on Radio Rewind, the show that Dustin and Jason do with Kevin. They were talking about it. So then I talked to him. I was like, I actually kind of want to go to, and they were both like, holy shit, I want to go to a concert. I'm like, yeah, why? Like, it's Autobots. But then like the promos I saw for it, like popping up on Facebook in the ad, it was showing this band Max Sabbath.
Yeah.
And I have this weird obsession with McDonaldland characters.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's one of those things. It's a bygone. It's whether it's the Colonel or Wendy's or did Hardee's ever have one?
I don't know if they actually had one in the commercial. I mean, I know they had the smiley face like on the actual sign, but I don't think they ever had like an actual mascot.
don't remember a real mascot, but I have an affinity for those things. And
even like the Taco Bell Chihuahua, you know, that's
Yeah.
a bygone thing. Yeah.
And I was like, they're doing like metal and shit.
Mm-hmm.
The drummer looks like Peter Criss.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go check this out. So it was wild. It was so, and that was the day I got injured too. That's the day that door came down on my arm. Hard. God damn. I've been hurt in my life. I've been hit by crowbars, baseball bats. I've been punched. I've been kicked. I've fallen off of shit. Yeah. That I've had a lot of fucked up shit happen to me. That was probably the most amount of pain I experienced all at once ever in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. And then I went to a concert.
Smart. Yeah.
The rock and roll bitches.
Yeah. I mean, I want to check them out because, like I said, the concept alone, it brings me back to, Mad Balls, Battle Trolls, the weird, obscure, what the fuck shit. You know what I mean?
Let's go. If
Yeah.
you get it, because it is wild. It is. And it's like you said, fast food puns abound.
Yeah. I've listened to some of their music. It's fun. I've seen a lot of the pictures that you shared on Twitter and stuff like that. It looks like I would have a blast.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a blast. And usually it's the kind of that draw crowds that are like very respectful of one. Or like try to be like that. Everybody just wants to have fun. Everybody just wants to go there and like laugh and like head and thrash to very sexy Autobots singing, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm definitely looking into that.
Right.
So I told you we're gonna do this for 90 minutes, and it's over 2.5 hours, Derek. So I appreciate that.
Welcome to Thunder.
Let's after 3 hours last night with Bumwine Bob and drinking that, I think we're gonna end it at like 2 hours and 40 minutes tonight. But let's throw out some links, website, Patreon, all that. This is your time to become that whore and shill yourself out.
Anyway. So, the show, of course, is Yesterdaze podcast. We come out every Monday. And I do it with my buddies, lifelong friends, Dustin and Jason. You can engage with the show at Yesterday's Pod on X, or with me at Derek J. Hoover at X as well. I'm trying to do it in like my best, show wrap up position to help the show grow. Please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Yesterday's podcast. I got my laminated sheet with me too.
Yeah, you can read off the tiers if you got it in front of you. Go ahead, dude. I don't care.
No, I just wanted to do a call out to that since Dustin pointed it out on the Denver episode.
Okay.
You got that sheet laminated there, buddy. But yeah, no, by all means, please, if you are a fan of the show and you have like long form feedback you want to give or anecdotes, yesterdayspod@gmail.com. Go to the website, yesterdaysmedia.com, to see a show schedule, write-ups like Rick here said. You're also going to see episode schedule. That'll be getting updated here pretty soon with January and February's episodes. And if you are in a position to help us grow, because this is something I want to keep building up, and I want to try to add more things to it. Please consider becoming a patron. And if you if a top tier patron, you get to pick your own episode. You get to choose your own adventure. So those are the main links related. You can follow Dustin at DutchStick11 on X. Jason is notorious for not promoting his own Twitter. I can't call it X. I just can't. I feel like
it's always going to be Twitter. I don't give a shit.
Because I feel like a fucking bag of dicks saying X.
Yeah.
X gonna give it to you. No, Twitter. Couch Pilots. That is. He probably won't talk to you. but it's fine.
It depends. It depends. There was one time I did that YouTube short, and I was just getting into Yesterdaze like on a regular basis. I knew you, so I shouted you out. I knew Dustin as Powder Keg, and then I just to spur of the moment, I couldn't remember Jason's name, so I'm like, and there's the other guy. You know what I mean? And he even responded like, "Hey, thanks from other guy." You know, so it all depends. He will respond.
He will respond.
Yeah,
he's a stinker. Good way, in a good way. He's a ponytail puller sometimes, but we love him.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, again, we'll close it up. You know, Derek, I do appreciate, you know, going an hour longer than I fucking expected. You know what I mean? You know, we're back on Ernest podcast time. I'll say this, you know, I'm not a bullshitter. I wouldn't be spending 2.5 hours talking to some guy if I didn't like their fucking product. You know, I'd maybe give you like 30 minutes and that's it. You know, 30 minutes, leave the money on the counter and tell you to leave type of thing. But I really enjoy your content. I just enjoy bullshitting you, and it's funny how I kind of reached out to, you know, after I was listening to Ernest, and for some reason you were talking about Ben Vereen, and you got on a little tangent of Zoobilee Zoo, and then Jeffrey Jones Fox is kind of like a little inside joke between the two of us, and I think our friendship has blossomed out of that creepy manimal, you know. So I really appreciate it.
Manimal first future episode.
Oh, there, you've heard it here. So
I may get 2025 or 2027, but I cover Manimal. Probably same month with Automan. No, I appreciate that. I do think we have a good time chit chatting side of creation. It's been good to talk to you about like real life shit. Yeah, and sometimes even like floating show ideas by you. Like, think about what do you think? It's nice to have a community, if you will, of like I'll bounce stuff off of Allison. I'll bounce stuff off of Whip. You know, Maureen, I'll bounce stuff off of her. Mike's the same. It's nice to have, you know, and it's nice to have fallen into this community. And that really, I guess, inspired me to really push with because in their defense, it's how many 40-something white guys talking about this. Right. So it took a little selling with Dustin and Jason, justifiably so. But you know, I don't think I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for you know, things like Secret Galaxy, Yes Have Some, Toy Anxiety, Geek Dad Life. Like, those things really inspired me. They were and the people in those communities like Allison, like Quip, who kind of helped me start leaning more towards being positive. There was a period in the Ernest shows where I had a lot of negativity going on, and I'm sure a lot of, you know, losing my parents, losing my mom.
Right, that shit happens, dude. Yeah,
I was pissed. I'm very happy I started leaning back into toy cartoons, and I think I'm a lot pleasant now.
That's one thing that me being a content creator myself, I try to tell people. I said, keep your passion there, because when you're out there in public, you want to keep that audience. They can tell when you're not into it. You know what I mean? They can tell when you're just phoning it in. Yeah. And I would rather like you in general. I know you got the weekly set schedule. I would rather you take a week off so you can re-energize yourself, so we can tell that you're not just sitting there, okay, guys, let's just get through it. You know, there's a reason why this episode's only 30 minutes long. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So.
I'm flirting with that. Like, that's part of why I'm like putting myself to have, oh my God, excuse me, so much shit written. Like, I'm really debating on, like, okay, do we take a week off, a week and a half, like, jump the schedule a little bit, just because, one, I don't want these two guys to be like, man, this motherfucker. Yeah. But not only that, I don't want to face like burnout and like, I fart out an episode. Like, I don't want to do that. I would rather take a knee,
mm-hmm.
And then just jump back into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the nice thing is we do this every other week, so it's enough time to
you got to recharge those batteries a little bit. Yeah.
Get back to neutral. It's just right now with peak at work and holidays at home and trying to cram 8 properties in 5 episodes. It's a little. So, but it's a nice exercise. It's a nice exercise. Well, enough of my dumb face.
Yeah, look who you're talking to. With that, I want to again thank you for your time, Derek. It's been a blast. Like I said, it's just water cooler talk, shooting the shit. I'm glad you accepted the invite.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. This is my first live I've ever done. So, yeah, this was very cool. I'm sorry I made it long.
No, dude, it's Saturday night. I'm doing absolutely nothing but putting a tire on my car tomorrow. So that's it.
We're old.
I know. So with that, I want to thank every single person that's been in the chat. I'm not going to name names because I'm like 4 beers down with no dinner, and I'm going to forget everybody. But I appreciate everyone who showed up. I appreciate all the interaction. Share this out, comment below, all the usual YouTube bullshit I shill at the end of my videos. Check out Yesterday's podcast. The website, like I said, I really enjoy the write-ups, especially. So I think that's an added bonus too. Instead of just, me, I put up a video that I share on YouTube and I write like 3 or 4 sentences. You have like a page. So I highly recommend just the website in general, even if you don't want to fucking listen to the show. I appreciate, I think people who like to read and are nostalgic, go check that out. So I highly recommend that.
There's people who hate. Shauna's not fond of podcasts because her dad subjected her to talk radio all the time. Mm-hmm. So there's people like that. Like sometimes just want to read something quietly. Like go sit and read something and look at. I try to have, if it's a toy line, I try to have pictures of toys up and play sets like that. So
yeah. So I mean, it's good stuff, Derek. It's good stuff. Like I said, I wouldn't be fucking bullshitting for almost 3 goddamn hours. Goddamn. In a good way. I mean that. I do. So with that, thank you everybody. Like and subscribe. All that bullshit. Check out Derek's content and also the Ernest podcast as well. The importance of seeing Ernest and the Ernest Preservation Society.
I will say, if you go back, if your only introduction to me is Yesterdaze, bear this in mind. There is a joke often made called the Derek J. Hoover redemption arc. I go through some shit. I become a better person at the end, but I'm not always so great. So just, you're like, Jesus Christ. Just know there is a possible at the end of that rainbow, and I become a better person, find some sobriety and control and less dickish behavior.
Hey, Andy Dufresne had to go through like 2 or 3 football fields of sewage to get out of that prison. It takes a little bit. So,
well, Rita Hayworth, take the wheel because I'm crying.
That's right. And you were lucky that there was no grate at the end of that tunnel. So, you made it out. So good for you. All right. We're going to end this. Goddamn, almost 3 hours. Had a lot of fun.
Good.
Keep pumping out that content, dude. You're doing a good job.
Keep listening. Keep listening and having fun.
That's right. And join the Patreon, especially that top tier. Suggest something that will be worse than Batman and Robin. I'm putting these people on the spot right now.
Still in play.
You're lucky I'm not a Patreon at the moment. I'm going to say that. Maybe after Mad Balls, maybe I will, because then I'll get my money's worth. I don't want you to say, fuck you, we're not doing it type of thing. But no, they paid their money, so you're doing it.
Yeah, unless my rule is unless something is like if somebody's like, I want you to do a special on Ron Jeremy. No,
Ew. Yeah.
It's really hard for me to find limits.
Mm-hmm.
I can usually find something. You throw a gauntlet, I will use it. I will call you fucking bluff.
Keep that in mind, patrons. Keep it in mind. All right, we're gonna cut it off, Derek. It's been a blast. So with everybody, I'm just going to end it here. Cheers. Here comes the awkward part where, I just wait to click and stream. Yes, I do.